As the world's best day game coach, I'm going to tell you all the secrets of this day game industry. I'm going to expose every single detail. That's right. I'm going to tell you all the secrets because since I've been working here for more than 10 years, 11 years now, actually. And I've been a day gamer since 2001, September the 11th, when I started from university. I've seen a lot of shit, a lot of evil shit. So I'm going to expose everything. When you listen to this, it's like the Matrix. One, you can listen to everything that you have done before. You know where it ends. It'll cost you over 11K. You know where that ends. But how about this? I show you the truth and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more. Let's begin. I'm going to back everything up with psychological documentation about psychology. None of this would be my opinion. Let's begin. So basically, how does the day game industry really works? You got to think about it as mini cults. All of it is a mini cult. And yeah, I got 3 students laid recently this week. So I'm more than qualified to teach you this stuff because nobody else is getting late testimonials. And don't mind me, my hair is messy. I just took a shower. So I'm going to spill the beans and teach you everything. So how does it really work? The day game industry feels like a bunch of mini cults. It's always about brainwashing, manipulation, self-development, and self-therapy. I know lately you've been really pissed off that I've been making videos about talking about the worship aspect of it, but you don't know why you do it. You don't know why you do it. But in reality, you do it anyways. So this is what's been happening all this time. Number one, the law that POAs are sociopathic. They're damaged people. So therefore, 10 signs of a sociopath. Documentation. This is what the POAs are. Along with autism, ADHD, which we know what it is. But sociopaths are charming. Sociopaths have a high charisma. They tend to attract a following just because people want to be around with them. But that's the thing about the dating coaches. This is where the cult begins. They have a glow about them that attracts people who are typically seek guidance or direction. And when I say the word sheeps, people get triggered, but that's the kind of people that are weak-minded that need to seek guidance. They usually go to dating coaches. So these guys appear to be sexy or have a strong sexual attraction, but not all sexy people are sociopaths, obviously. But watch out for over-the-top sexual appetites and weird fetishes. So not only does this describe the pickup artist, the audience, it also describes the dating coach. Number 2, sociopaths are more spontaneous and intense than other people. They tend to do bizarre, sometimes erratic things that most regular people wouldn't do. I have to read through all this stuff because if I don't read through this all, I want all documented. So if I'm making this video, it's going to be always there. They do unbound by social contracts. Their behavior seems irrational or extremely risky. So for a dating coach, they might even use alcohol and wrestle with her in a bedroom. Well, that's totally illegal because she can't consent. This is the kind of behavior. For pickup artists, they're very intense, crazy people. If you're in this PUA cruise, they just attack everybody on the WhatsApp group. And they're sadistic people. Number 3, sociopaths are incapable of feeling shame, guilt, or remorse. Their brains simply lack the circuitry to process such emotions. This allows them to betray people, threaten people, or harm people without giving it a second thought. They'll pursue any actions that serves their own self-interest, and even if it seriously harms others. This is why you will find many successful sociopaths in high levels of government. That's right. So even for dating coaches, they have this sort of, like, they don't feel guilt and shame. A lot of the pickup artists don't either. So they can mass approach and have opinions as facts, and they don't feel shame or guilt by acting crazy. They don't. Sociopaths invent outrageous lies about their experience. For a lot of dating coaches, they do exactly the same thing. So they invent outrageous lies about their experience. And a lot of things that you hear from them are opinions as facts, not facts as opinions. So what do I mean by that? Everything that you hear from them is, it's always like they'll tell you that this is how things work. And whatever story they tell you, this is how they got their lay. This is what happened to get their girlfriend. This is what happened to move out of the country. It's all lies. The outcome is the same as like the truth, but how they got there is not. That's what they do. They always like, if they keep telling you lies over and over, they can gaslight you. So I printed out some of the meanings. What's gaslighting? We'll switch over here. There's all psychological documentation. So in self-help, amateur psychology, this is from Wikipedia. So I printed it out. Gaslighting is a term that's used in self-help and amateur psychology to describe a dynamic that can occur in personal relationships, romantic or parental. And in workplace relationships, gaslighting involves two parties, the gaslighter and the persistent put forth a false narrative. Give a thumbs up if you're learning a lot, and maintaining their individual autonomy. Gaslighting is typically effective only when there is an unequal power dynamic and when the gaslighter shows respect to the gaslighter. So, for example, you get gaslighted by dating coaches when you respect them and worship them. I know when I say worship, people get triggered, but I'm going to explain why you do this. Gaslighting is different from the genuine relationship disagreement, which is both common and important in relationships. Gaslighting is distinct in that one partner is constantly listening and considering the other partner's perspective. One partner is consistently negating the other's perception, insisting that they are wrong. So whenever I talk about stuff on YouTube, I'm not gaslighting any of you ever. I'm telling you guys the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Like, there's not even one instance of gaslighting. I just tell it like it is. And this is what caused cognitive dissonance. This is going to be very academic, but one partner is consistently negating. Okay. Gaslighting typically occurs over a long duration. Is not a one-off basis. Over time, the listening partner may exhibit symptoms often associated with anxiety disorder, depression, or low self-esteem. Gaslighting is distinct from genuine relationships conflicts that party manipulates the perception of the others. All right. So what does this mean in terms of dealing with sociopaths? Because they're gaslighting you. First, they make you worship. You see that another person drops off when I talk about worship. Once you worship your infields and you give them the authority, you shut off your brain. Now they can gaslight you because you bought their products. They can feed you like a sheep before they put you in the slaughterhouse. So that's why number 4, sociopaths invent outrageous lies about their experience. Everything is false. So number 5, sociopaths seek to dominate and win at all cost. They hate to lose any arguments or fights and will viciously defend their web of lies, even to the point of logical absurdity. Number 6, sociopaths tend to be highly intelligent, like a lot of dating coaches, but they use their brain powers to deceive rather than empower them. Their high IQ often makes them dangerous. This is why many of the best known serial killers who are successful evaded law enforcement were sociopaths. And of course, you see that with Jeffrey Dahmer. You see that with Ted Bundy. They can evade it. But how does this relate in terms of sociopaths? We're going to jump to the narcissistic sociopath. So what is the narcissistic sociopath? I actually, copied the documentation here. So on the YouTube, on my website, I actually printed all this stuff out. So this is from Psychology Today. I don't want to waste any papers. This is not like something that I made up on Photoshop. No. If you go to Psychology Today, the article is called The Evolutionary Aspect of Sociopaths or something. What evolutionary advantage you'll find it. So basically what it says here is that narcissistic sociopaths share many features with psychopaths, including an average intelligence, consider social savvy, adaptability, likability, and natural skill, Machiavellian manipulation. Okay. But they are outgoing, feign interest in people and subjects. They can convincingly fake sympathy and conscience. If you engage in charitable acts at all, they are only in pursuit of similarly selfish benefits, like releasing courses that don't work, putting you into boot camps. So they learn from experience and show no dedication to a set of moral values, religious beliefs. Well, they may be religious, but they're not ethical people. So finally, they are effective liars and show a chilling unconcern for the welfare of others. They really don't care. They could be even violent. This is one particular skill that's common to both psychopaths and narcissistic sociopaths. And it absolutely is essential to their nature. Cognitive empathy, this one is different from emotional or affective empathy. So basically, the real empathy is emotional. And after mental trauma cure, I can feel a lot of the emotions. But however, I don't feel it that much during, like, before. With the mental trauma, I didn't feel as much. Now I can feel the emotions. There's a difference between emotions and feelings. In psychology, it might be reversed, but I'm trying to separate it. Feelings is like when you put your hand on the stove and you burn your hand and it hurts, or when you get triggered, just like people dropping off. That's a feeling. It doesn't mean you have emotions. It doesn't mean that other dating coaches have emotions. They know how to game people. That's what they're trying to say. So, however, the ways of the sociopaths differ from the psychopath, and key to understanding is their evolutionary utility. For example, psychopaths are more likely than the general public to be violent and end up incarcerated. But narcissistic sociopaths, on the other hand, are usually nonviolent and can work within a system of laws and norms. That's right. So they're different. They have like something like a mask, which is related to the very first thing I talked about, that sociopaths are charming. As I said up here, sociopaths are charming. They have a high charisma and tend to attract a following, just like a lot of dating coaches. People want to be around them. But you can see that having this cognitive empathy and this mask, it makes it very, very easy for them to be manipulated for the sheeps. So, however, the way in which the sociopaths differ from the psychopath is understanding their evolutionary utility. For example, like I already read this part. But on the other hand, narcissistic sociopaths are usually nonviolent and can work within a system of laws and norms. Insofar, it suits their goals because while they do not hesitate to harm others, especially when insulted or humiliated, isn't a specific aim. Instead, they are highly motivated towards accumulation of riches and influence, kind of like Andrew Late. A lot of dating coaches have this mentality to make as much money as possible. So this is what's related. You wonder why dating coaches are always about gaming the students. Well, first, the courses don't work. That's the whole point. It's not like they can make it work. It really depends on the coach. Some coaches are better than others. However, if you're finding that their courses statistically does not work, and every single time you look at it, it's like all the testimonials are from their boot camps or other training programs, but it's not part of their products, then you know that this manipulation is happening because for them, they're highly motivated towards the accumulation of riches and influence. Psychopaths are more focused on sadistic self-gratification and do not seek positions of power and wealth per se. But okay, so finally, the narcissistic sociopath always seeks reproductive success through procreation and aggressive nepotism, which is usually accompanied by extreme in-group identification, racism, xenophobia, nationalism. So it's like saying like, oh, don't trust white dating coaches. I say the same thing, but I'm not trying to manipulate people. But they would probably say like everybody else is wrong except them. Except I have way more late testimonials. It's not like I'm manipulating. I'm telling you guys the truth. But that's the thing, though. They'll use that. And also, therefore, the phenotype of the narcissistic sociopath is not a bizarre combination of traits, but rather a highly attuned social skill and behavior aim at increasing long-term biological fitness through wealth, status, and power. And they accomplish these things for... Yeah, it sucks that doesn't happen. Just train with me, then you can start to actually get laid. You need UE30 from our case to hero, the course of most late testimonials in the world. So therefore, the phenotype of the narcissistic sociopath, you just need a new training. Everything that you've been worshiping and believing is all wrong. I'm teaching social skills and social calibrations. You will fail without it using game tactics due to autism. So therefore, the phenotype of the narcissistic sociopath is a combination of traits, but rather a highly attuned social skills and behavior aim at increasing long-term biological fitness through wealth, status, and power. in the future of progeny. That's why they always say that they want to, oh, one day it's not about the money. They just want to have a lot of kids, progeny, like offspring one day. In other words, sociopaths are highly adapted. Basically, it's like, remember the movie Scarface? When the guy says, first you get the money, then you get the power, then you get the women. It's kind of that kind of mentality. It's not what they say through the words that they say as they give you the death stare. It is actually the things that they do. It's not what they say, is what they do. That's the most important. So therefore, the evolutionary puzzle of the narcissistic sociopath is not found in the phenotype itself, but rather in the interactions of sociopath with society in which they exist. So, no, it is autism, because autism affects many aspects of your social skills and body language and eye contact, and also your ability to, you speak more monotone, or you start to sound like RC Tyler, like this. Because if this is miscalibrated, 55% of communication is nonverbal, 36% is your tonality, and 7% is the words. You're focused too much on the words. It's not like chill, whatever. You're getting triggered. That's another sign of autism. Extreme levels of feelings, butthurt feelings. That's not emotions. That's a trigger. Trigger, it's almost like, so you have this trait of narcissism, and you also have the trait of low self-esteem. But let's continue. So the evolutionary puzzle of narcissistic sociopaths is not found in the phenotype itself, but rather the interaction of sociopaths within the society in which they exist. So basically, what they say here is social groups that can detect dishonest and manipulative behaviors and act to punish the actors in order to correct the antisocial behavior or remove them from the group. We saw that happen with Andrew Late, and we see that happen with Justin Wayne. We see this happening when other dating coaches get canceled because they have no empathy, especially like Brad Ass Kiss or people like, that's what I'm just saying. Like, this things can happen, and this is the social dynamics of people. They don't like it when a person have these traits. I'm not saying like everyone equals bad, but there are a lot of dating coaches that actually do have this whole money, power, sex, procreation mindset. This is the reason why a lot of their courses don't work. And you get a preview of their boot camp, and after that, you funnel into their boot camp. They make more money this way. I mean, over 10K. With 10K, you can just take Elite 30 from our case to Hero. You can actually buy it, like, or rent a pole location for 10 months. With that kind of money, you get a new wardrobe, and also you can get alcohol. And I don't use alcohol, and my students don't, but 10K is a lot just for one lay when you just use alcohol in their boot camps. So now that you understand it, right? Dozens of mammal species have shown very sophisticated and elastic social behavior, but humans are close relatives, especially apt at detecting and punishing cheaters, freeloaders, and liars. So basically, in society, that, well, yeah, I mean, totally, like 20 out of 35. So it's different in social events, but it does matter. So looks is out of 10, money is out of 5, status is out of 10. But if you just have money and status, is not enough. You still need social skills, social calibrations, emotional control, and game. They're 2.5 each. Social skills 2.5, social calibrations 2.5, Elite 30, emotional control, whitewash tonality 2.5, and lastly, game 2.5. So that's, you have to get over a certain point. When you're doing night game, then it becomes more like 15 out of 35. That's why ABCs of Attraction, another company that's about, gaming people. They don't have Daygame late testimonials because they're manipulating you guys. But it's easier when you do a night game or different events. But if you do it during day game, you need 20 out of 35. So the math is 100% true. So, for example, right? Yeah, get your life in order, but money and status is not everything. It does help, but you still have to get the social skills, social calibrations, emotional control down. But fear not. So basically what I'm saying is that's a chart. Now let's go back, and we're jumping back and forth. So we talked about sociopaths invent outrageous lies about their experience. They wildly exaggerate things. Yeah, that's why they do all this stuff, gaslighting you, as we talked about over here, the psychology of gaslighting, giving you fake information just to destabilize your mind. And the next one is that sociopaths seek to dominate others and win at all cost. This is why a lot of the PUAs I argue with, they always have this opinions as facts. They're always right in their own mind. Like Indian people, like a lot. So, yeah, but fresh and fit don't even get laid at all, and they have no student results. So I don't care about fresh and fit. Just because you're black doesn't mean like we have to trust them. All right, sociopaths seek to dominate and win at all costs. They hate to lose any argument or fight, kind of like fresh and fit. They viciously defend their web of lies, even to the point of logical absurdity. And you over there, you're acting like a sheep. You're exactly the reason why that these guys, these narcissistic sociopaths, all about money and power, are dominating your mind. So you have submitted your mind to them, and this is what makes you weak-minded, which I'll get into. Okay, so let's just skip a little bit in the article and talk about the people that are weak-minded and how they get tricked into this stuff. Okay, so we'll start with the first one. Let me look it up. I should have post this on an article, but I have a screenshot of it just in case. Good thing I did that. Understanding cults, the basics. So fresh and fit is a cult. Okay, I'm going to talk about the weak-mindedness of the cult. So this is an article from Psychology Today. It's not some bullshit article. So this is an article, Psychology. You can see Psychology Today by Stephen A. Hassan, PhD. Right here. Okay, so why does people fall for a cult like that? Understanding cults, the basics. To help others, it is important to understand mind control and undue influence. Posted on June 5th, 2021. Key points. No one joins a cult. They are recruited by systematic social influence processes. So, for example, if Fresh and Fit have women there, you have the procreation switch. Or when you have other dating coaches with infields, then you have the procreation switch. Then they submit their mind to those people, and they listen to everything, the gaslighting from narcissistic sociopaths. Destructive individuals and cults use deception, like Fresh and Fit, and undue influence to make people dependent and obedient, just like a lot of dating coaches. With their infields and white dating coaches, nothing happens in their infields from open to sex. The next one is not all influence is bad. There is a difference between due and undue influence. Cult leaders are typically malignant narcissists and want people to be obedient to them, like Fresh and Fit. Everyone had an experience with a cult or a controlling relationship. Have a friend or family member caught up in a black and white all or nothing conspiracy cult, multi-level marketing, religious or political group. It's very common. So for you, it's Fresh and Fit. For other people, it's like other dating coaches you worship. So you mean like female testimony? What do you mean by female testimonials? Like they cannot actually show their face on camera because that ruins their reputation. So that I cannot do. That I cannot do because it's illegal to film them without them knowing. So that's why I have to censor their faces. So if you have people doing that, then you have the state. So keep that in mind. Let's continue. To help them or yourself, you need to learn how mind control works and how people can be programmed into destructive authoritarian cults. So not all of them are destructive, but some are benign. There are specific strategies, patterns, and behaviors used by cultic groups. So, okay. To recruit members and manipulate and control them. The first step is keeping you and your loved ones safe is by learning more of what a cult is, how they work, and the lasting seriously after effects. So basically, I'm going to keep reading that, but I printed you guys an article. It's all psychological for today's YouTube Live. This is called the BITE model, BITE for cults. Okay. So when we're talking about cults, I'm going to talk about the weak-mindedness and we'll get into the BITE model. So this was created to detect cults. And Fresh and Fit will fit underneath this. A lot of white dating coaches will fit underneath this. Certain dating coaches gaming you with infield, and then later they just use alcohol in the bedroom and half truths. They're using the BITE model. So let's get back into why people are weak-minded and listen to these Fresh and Fit. They listen to these other white dating coaches, or they listen to these other alcohol maxing New Delhi grape game in the bedroom. So vulnerability and recruitment. No one joins a cult voluntarily. They are recruited to it. There's a lack of informed consent. Everyone has vulnerabilities. Possible situational vulnerabilities includes illness, right? The death of a loved one, a breakup, important relationship, loss of a job, moving to another country or state. this is not exactly the same thing that's affecting you guys, but there is a individual's vulnerabilities may include high hypno hypnotizability. What it means by that is easier to game you if they show an infield and then you worship, right? Then that's a high hypnotizability, strong ability for concentration or vivid imagination, learning disorders, which could be autism, sociopathy, and delusional disorders, basically. So learning disorders or autism spectrum disorders, as it says here. Exactly. So a lot of you guys are autistic, so therefore you don't know what's right and wrong when you look at infield, so you just worship it. But it's talking about why people are suggestible in the cults. So excessive hypnosis have altered state of susceptibility, increased susceptibility, and being recruited by a cult unless they are strong critical thinking, media literacy, and good supportive network, which can be a good person to stay grounded. So if you guys are in my network and you're listening to what I'm saying, you might be able to resist some of the influence. But a lot of people are very weak-minded, so therefore they're easily susceptible to a cult. They cannot help it. They get triggered a lot. That's why a lot of people are dropping off, because it's very uncomfortable. But I will post this on my Facebook. I'll post it in the inner circle. I'll post it everywhere, even without the video. I'll just rip this video and I'll post it all there, and I'll make shorter versions of this so you guys can all digest this information, even if triggered. Okay. So other risks consist of learning and communication disorders. The reason why, because of the inability to learn social skills and social calibrations. A lot of you are easily susceptible because you think it's a shortcut. Game is a shortcut to your autism. And this is where it becomes susceptible, because they're promising you a shortcut, but if you're going to worship, then you buy their products. And let's say you bought all their products, it's like 3K. You might take a 6 months online course. Afterwards, you take a 5.6K boot camp. So that's already over 11K. This is what they call the lifetime value of the customer in terms of marketing. Their lifetime value would be over 10K ahead. So that means for every single boot camp, most likely, even if they didn't take the 6 months course online, they spend around 8K. So we can divide 8K divided by how many testimonials they have, whether the student got laid or not. You roughly have a good estimation of how much money they make. In the difference between the white dating coaches, for example, versus the naturals I know in the inner circle, the naturals don't have that death stare, that sociopath death stare, which I talked about earlier in terms of in this chart. For sociopaths are charming. Sociopaths are charming, highly charismatic, tend to attract a following just because people want to be around with them. They have a glow. It's like a guru glow of cults around them because they typically seek guidance. Now you can see how this is connected. All these guys who fall for these cult influences really are weak-minded people. So they say they often appear sexy, have a strong sexual attraction to all sex. But you get the point. They're all connected, all these concepts. So with the other risks consist of learning and communication disorders, drug and alcohol problems, right? Trauma. Oh yeah, a lot of you, right, have crazy parents. When I was teaching mental trauma care, a lot of you have absolutely crazy sociopath parents. It's always one or the other. If it's your mother, you tend to be more submissive around women. If your dad's crazy, you tend to be more dominant. It's almost genetics. So even if they pretend to be very dominant in their infield, they might be like, "Oh wow, how cool, nice." Yeah. So, anyways, I just want to come by me. It shows up in their infields. So, but during even right now for the 21st century, COVID-19 pandemic can, as it says over here, COVID-19, it can contribute to it. Severe economic disruptions. So what's happening now with the inflation is a lot of people are losing their minds. So therefore, they believe that worshiping is a safer option. So they're doubling down on their worshiping instead. So, and isolation and lack of touch, social distancing. That was before, right? I mean, there's vaccines now, but people were socially distanced, and right now even they're more distant than ever. People don't talk to each other as often now. Gen Z and all these people, they rather just sit in their room all day, and they rather just look at YouTube videos, and it's fucked up. Gen Z versus the millennials or whatever they call it, and it's a different world these days. And also 60% of men now are like single and not actively looking for sex. That's why they're dropping off, especially even Daygame, because of economic problems, just like Japan has economic problems. the more they cannot afford the lifestyle, they don't want to procreate. And that will affect the birth rate of the world. So unless you get this handled, you guys are the new Asians. In the past, 1 in 6 Asian men would not procreate. And 51% of Asian women would marry a white guy. But due to COVID-19, they start hating the Asians for a while, for many years. And then afterwards, they found it was a lab leak. Then they forgive all the Asians. They stop beating them up. But this isolation and this money problems are affecting you. So it makes you more susceptible in 2023 to infields. Increased time online, correct. This is all contributed. Internet addiction and recruitment into extreme conspiracy theories and cults and scams, which is most of the day game coaches bullshit, because it's like a long scam. When you look at it, like Game Cheesy TV, he has 2 day game lay testimonials. He has lots of infields, but it doesn't matter. So it's a vulnerable state. You may fall into one of the recruitment strategies. Some takes place in person when you meet someone at work, through a friend or from community, or you may find yourself recruited online from social media posts, websites, YouTube videos. This is where the white dating coaches or other dating coaches from YouTube videos, you look at infields, and afterwards you want to buy a product, you don't get laid, and you're funneled into this narcissistic sociopath plan. It's all related, actually. YouTube video, discussion group, dating apps, movies, or video games. So this is why you guys are stuck. Okay, let's continue. I'm just going to preach a truth whether you're here. So through their cult, they're using the BITE model, BITE. So for example, Red Pill has this BITE model, so does RSD. So there's other dating coaches that tell you like it's all romantic, sexual. In reality, they're just using alcohol in the bedroom. So besides the Maslow's chart of human needs, right? Same with other dating coaches gaslighting you with half truths when they're really using alcohol crutches and bedroom masculation. That's what they call it. It's not bedroom masculation. If she's not willing to have sex and you need alcohol to wrestle the consent of her, that is illegal. This is a narcissistic sociopath win at all cost behavior, which we go back to the chart here. When I say number 5, this is where we're stuck at. Sociopaths seek to dominate others and win at all cost. They hate to lose any argument or fight and will viciously defend their web of lies, even to the point of logical absurdity. So even if they say they have like lots of infields and their students infields, they don't show the alcohol in the bedroom. But this is a behavior, a benchward behavior, win at all cost. In India, they have a win at all cost behavior. In Rajasthan, they'll just rape the women. It's just faster that way. They always have this win at all cost mentality. I mean, even Latino gangs across Mexico and stuff, they have the same mentality, win at all costs. They have to be right. That's why they have opinions as facts. So you can see it's all related to the sociopath chart. Number 6, sociopaths are highly tend to be intelligent. They use their brain powers to deceive others rather than empower them. Their high IQ often makes them dangerous. This is why many of the best-known serial killers and successful evaded law enforcement. So this goes back to narcissistic sociopath, as we spoke about earlier. We talked about how they're able to socially engineer the situation. That's how they operate. And basically, once you fall into their half-truths, right, because you worship them, you start to be gaslighted. Because like they say, they invent outrageous lies about their experience. So that's what they call gaslighting. It's really so basically, what is gaslighting? Well, I have it in the article over here from Psychology Today. I think it goes pretty well explaining what gaslighting really means. I'll show you the article so I'm not bullshitting you. Okay, hold on a second. I'll just switch the camera, so hopefully it can go camera number 2. All right, gaslighting. Well, there's an article here. You cannot see that well, but let's switch back to camera 1 then. Let's see. This camera's not that clear. What the fuck? Yeah, I got 2 cameras here. Oh, it took a while to get there. It looks like it's flipped in the other. No, it's the same direction. All right, let's continue. So gaslighting means gaslighting is an insidious form of manipulation and psychological control. The victims of gaslighting are deliberately and systematically fed false information that leads them to question what they know to be true about themselves. So, for example, Red Pill is gaslighting you. They're gaslighting you that all women are whores and they ride the cock carousel, right? That is a form of manipulation. And you should be pissed off at all women because they have way too much women. They have way too much options. Therefore, you should be angry at them and get really angry. But that's going to be tied to the BITE model for dealing with all this stuff. So, gaslighting is an insidious form of manipulation and psychological control. Victims of gaslighting are deliberately and systematically fed false information that leads them to question what they know to be true, often about themselves. They may end up doubting their memory, their perceptions, and even their sanity. Over time, a gaslighter's manipulation can grow complex and potent and making it increasingly difficult for the victim to see the truth. So basically, this is the truth about dating coaches, how it relates back to the sociopath chart. That sociopaths invent outrageous lies about their experience. They wildly exaggerate things to the point of absurdity. When they describe it to you in a storytelling format about how they have health problems or some bullshit like that, and they come back exactly when they need to make money due to being a narcissistic sociopath, it for some reason it sounds believable at the time because you can't verify anything that they say because you don't know if it's true or not because you've given them the authority. So going back to gaslighting, right? Gaslighting means giving people a half truth. Todd V does this a lot. So does Red Pill Rollo Tomasi. And so does a lot of people that are teaching them to use romantic, sexual, and wrestling with her in the bedroom. Everything they say is 100% false. Every single detail they say is false. Where they come from, how they escaped to a different country. The story happened, they did go to a different country, but how they got there was a complete lie. A complete lie. They'll talk about how they got their girlfriends, but in reality, that's not what happened. It wasn't through Daygame, it was through social circle and alcohol. Always alcohol. Like I know all this stuff. And then they'll say, this is how they got this is how they get the results. No, it's all alcohol. They wrestle with her in a bedroom. How do I know this? How do I know this? Is it possible that I actually do know this? I have insider information. If that's the case, right? I'm not gaslighting you. That means everything they told you is false. That means everything before the conversion mechanism. Let's say, for example, in the bedroom, all their game from the beginning to end, if the bedroom uses alcohol to wrestle the consent out of her, then that means if we take this away, then their product does not work because when you focus on the rest of the game, all that other stuff before the conversion mechanism, it doesn't work. So therefore, for the narcissistic sociopaths, the ones who cares about wealth, money, power, and all this stuff, and they're gaming you, no matter how many times you buy their products, even if you see word for word what the student says, you don't have the conversion mechanism in the bedroom. So therefore, you can't actually get it to work. And even if you take their 6 months online course, it'll never work without the alcohol in the bedroom. You could SMV it for 6 months and you might get a lay online or maybe not. Depends on your SMV. But because in the bedroom at that particular point, that's where the alcohol is, the rest of everything else is a gaslighting. They're gaslighting you with half truth. So basically a half truth pill for Todd V. This is how he does it. He'll first tell you something that sounds like plausible, like, oh yeah, I get it, makes sense. It'll be probably very truthful in this aspect. And then they'll misdirect you how it's all game. Have you noticed that with Todd V? Yeah, it's true about looks, it's about this, it's about that, it's important. But then the game is the only solution. But Todd V only has 3 lay testimonials. I downgrade it from 4 to 3 because the other 2 testimonials are his instructors. You should not count as lay testimonials because even Justin scamming Wayne, for this guy, this Negro, this dating coach, he has like 10 testimonials, lay testimonials, but 9 of which or something, or 8 or 9 is instructors. It should not count. If it's not working for the students, it's not just for the instructors. So it's really 2 testimonials. Even if Justin Wayne show infield from open to sex, right? And he might use a seeking arrangements or job scam, whatever. Or other people may use alcohol in the bedroom. So anything before that point does not work. So if he did that before he starts the interaction, everything else afterwards does not work past this point. It's the same with the bedroom escalation and the alcohol. Everything before the pull does not work for their products. There's all gaslighting. So gaslighting is basically feeding you false information. I even print out another article about gaslighting from the Wikipedia. So gaslighting is a term used by self-help in amateur psychology to describe dynamics that can occur relationship, romantic, or parental in the workplace. Gaslighting involves 2 parties, the gaslighter who persistently puts forth a false narrative, but the gaslighted, the person who's the victim of gaslighting, right? As it says over here, the gaslighter who struggles to maintain their individual autonomy. Basically, the more times that Todd V or these sociopaths, usually when they gaslight you, their eyes are like a little bit separated. If you look at the dating coaches, They have the narcissistic death stare. That's why they have that charismatic glow. That's why when they're gaslighting you all this time, they're always giving you false information. If it's a half truth, like here's the whole truth on one side, completely. This is like something that we all know is true. Money does help you a little bit, not because it gets you whatever, but you need game too, right? Not just money. They both can help. But everything's directed towards game for the autistic sociopaths, right? For the day gamers, the sheeps, because they themselves don't have the social skills, and therefore they think game is a shortcut because they can't do multiple steps involved in the social skill flow drill. They'll go right into the game tactics because push pull is 2 steps, right? It's like a dual core processor, 2 steps. If they try to do too many steps, their brain shuts down. Like flirting or self-amusement is 1 step. DHV story is 1 step. Does that make sense? 1 step, 1 step, 2 steps. Statements is 1 step. So that's what they're trying to do. But this is why they like to get gaslighted. And as I was saying, I just want to make sure I'm not off topic. But that's the gaslighting. Let's talk about normal people versus pickup artists. Actually, when you see a lot of videos I posted before, I was day gaming with a lot of tall white guys. They're naturals, but they don't have that sociopath death stare. They're very social and they have perfect social skills for a lot of those guys. And that's the thing. The PUAs for the dating coaches, they look exactly the same as those white guys. They're tall, they're white. But you know how a lot of the dating coaches who are white, they talk like clowns, like James Tusk and stuff. He only got 2 day game late testimonials. He's just got another one recently, but it doesn't work. He always says like, "Oh, you look like a peg leg or whatever, like a pirate." And it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And they always act like clowns for white dating coaches like Austin Summers and others. Austin Summers is also deceiving you because it looks like he has 44 testimonials that he posted, but only like 7 of them got laid or any sort of results. But we don't know if it's from night game or day game. It might only be down to 4. You see that? The narcissistic sociopaths. They know how to game you by making these long testimonials that you have to figure out if they got laid or not. And you're too ADHD to actually clarify. And that becomes a big problem. So as I was saying, the POAs that are lacking social skills often fail to realize the dumb sheeps. The POAs have stupid opinions as facts, and they hate dating coaches, right? They're usually jobless POAs, right? So there's a lot of POAs in the community, and they're almost like the guys you see in these forum groups, the crews, those PUA crew guys. A lot of them secretly hates me. They're always a PUA, but in reality, here's what I figure out: they're all dating coaches. They're low-level bottom feeders. The ones that you see on YouTube saying oh, testimonials fake, like fuck you. They only say that because they're like self mechanics with opinions as facts, hating other dating coaches, but they want to be a dating coach themselves. They're like last place, like 9999999 versus number 1, Johnny Lee, 581 label testimonials. So for these narcissistic sociopaths, they have huge dreams, just like the other dating coaches with huge subscriber counts, but they don't have any accomplishments because we never see a lay testimonial from these people ever in our lifetimes. So basically, they're self mechanics and they're medium SMV guys. So the whole industry, because every one of these people, right? So basically for ABCs of attraction, okay, they have not gotten a single lay testimonial for Daygame for 2022 and 2023. They only got a poll in 2023, but not a lay. So they basically like they are the same qualities as a narcissistic sociopath. Like I wouldn't say they're like sociopaths, maybe, but they have more of a psychopath sort of mentality. They're in it for the money because they cannot get the students laid for day game. They're offering something, right? They're making a lot of money out of this. It's always about the money first. You can get laid from night game because you don't need 20 out of 35 for the value. You just need like 15 out of 35. I have gotten one of their students laid with a white girl on the first approach. I will release the testimonial soon, but he cannot get laid with the ABCs of attraction stuff. So for them, they're also about money, power, wealth, and all this other stuff, which I talked about earlier when I talked about the narcissistic sociopath. Like I said, I'm not calling them sociopaths, but they are narcissistic. So we're jumping back to the narcissistic sociopaths from Psychology Today article. It's many share the same features as psychopaths, including above average intelligence, considerable savvy, social adaptability, likability, faint interest in other people and subjects like ABCs. But, however, the charming, the faint interest in people and subjects can convincingly fake both sympathy and conscience for Asian men. They don't care, to be honest. It's about money first. So they engage in charitable acts at all. They are only in pursuit of ancillarily selfish benefits, right? They benefit off the Asian misery. That's why they game you. They learn from experience. They show no dedication to a set of moral values, religious beliefs, truth, or transparency. If they admire anyone, is the other psychopath and sociopaths that they wish to emulate. Finally, they are effective liars and show a chilling unconcern for the welfare of others. They don't care if it doesn't work for Daygame. There's only one particular skill that's commonly like it's called cognitive empathy. This is different than the emotional empathy, affective empathy, sometimes called emotional contagion, which is regarded as ability and tendency to closely identify with the emotional experience of others. They game you because they're copywriters and stuff like that. They know they go through these forum groups and they look for all your pain points. They list them all out and they'll repeat it to you. So they build their YouTube shorts, their videos based on that to manipulate your emotions. They call this the problem agitate solve. Problem agitate solve form. I'm giving all the secrets of the day game industry, and they use the email list to game you. There's other coaches now releasing courses using the email list to game you. Basically, they'll start with like, why they're gone for so long. They'll start talking about their origin story. They'll try to change their beliefs, going from cold to warm to hot. They'll get you through the email list. So the more they send the emails, the more you read it, the more they're manipulating you. I know all the secrets, all the marketing tactics, everything. I just don't use it on you guys. Because even if you join my webinar thing, right, for the same day lay, in 5 to 10 minutes and 1 to 6 approaches, which is all true. You can see one of the ABC students' testimonials there. They didn't get the student late I did for Daygame. And he says, I'm better than them. But however, these are all the tricks that they used because, like I said over here, I'll just skip a little bit. But for narcissistic sociopaths, they always seek reproductive success through procreation and aggressive nepotism, and is accompanied by extreme group identification. Therefore, this phenotype of the narcissistic sociopath is not a bizarre combination of traits, but highly attuned social skills and behavior aimed at increasing long-term biological fitness through wealth, status, and power. Wealth, status, and power. So it's always about making a lot of money to increase their status. And that's why they use the same wealth, status, and power in Latin countries. So I'm not saying that this guy is a narcissistic sociopath, but he has all the traits of one. I don't know enough information, but there is the death stare of the narcissist. There seems to be narcissistic traits. I don't know about is a psychopath, sociopath. I don't know right now. I don't have enough information, but they really do not care that much about. So basically, you see that. So, oh yeah, they use extreme in-group identification, racism, xenophobia, nationalism, while psychopaths show no allegiance to family. Whatever. So they do sound like a narcissistic sociopath because they always talk about the Asian pride, the passport bros, Asian pride. Oh, look at this white worshipping simp or this Asian white worshipping, right? Xenophobic patriarchy. So they're actually using exactly the same tactics that are shown in psychology today. So this may actually closely align. And it's a perfect example. Good thing you brought them up because they manipulate all the Asians. If all their Asian students come to Johnny Elite, I can get all of them late in day game. If they just promise you that they can only get you late in night game, I would be fine with that. But if they have no solutions for day game, I'm not fine with that because I got a student that's Asian that's late very recently, and they always use the arrow theory and the body language and all this other stuff. Let's continue, okay? I want to make sure I'm not diverting from the topic. So usually for the POAs, the opinions as facts, they're usually all SMV, like they're medium SMV. They're not like low SMV guys. They're medium SMV. They're like a samurai swinging their game sword, not a ninja. They have to learn like 30 skills from Elite 30. They have to swing their big game sword, tactics. Sorry, just issue. Tactics. But the problem is that it doesn't work for others. But you always have a friend of somebody that's who's you always have a friend of somebody who's a POA in the crew that has medium SMV that still gets laid, but they get laid with 3 out of 10 or 4 out of 10. They never get like my students, like models, actresses, white girls. They never get that kind of stuff. They always just get black women or Asians and ugly women. So when you have that POA friend with a medium SMV, it kind of confuses you about the day game industry because these guys who are the POAs, the pickup artists, they have no jobs of their own. They have no occupation. They can approach all day. So they play a huge fucking massive numbers game. That's all they do all day. Huge massive numbers game, farming it. And just my nose is kind of itchy. What the fuck? So basically, they're farming a lot of fucking volume, a lot of volume of approaches. And when they do get laid with a 4 out of 10, right, you start to think game works for everybody. So this whole day game industry is a deception. It does not work for the low SMV. So what happens is, number one, like for this guy talking about ABCs, number one, you always worship a white dating coach, number one. It doesn't matter if it's James Tusk or it's some other guy. It has to be a white. Asians and Indians love to tell themselves that they are enough. Or RSD is always RSD or some other tall white guy. They believe that white guys is the same as the normal white guys that are in the inner circle, or just normal guys who are not pickup artists. When they have the social skills, which is worth 2.5 points, and a little bit of confidence, body language, 2.5 points. They have maybe 1 point. It's not perfect like elite 30, like the natural, but they're very chilled, right? They're emotionally chilled. They have another like 2 points there. Already, just by learning no game, these guys already have 2, 3, 5 points right there. They can beat the shit out of you. If you were to set a guy who's like not a pickup artist, just a regular neuropathic normal guy, and Johnny Elite teaches him social skills, he'll fucking kill you in day game. I think, yeah. So I think one time they set up a guy, a pickup artist versus a normal tall white guy with social skills. The white guy won like every time. So the problem is that you think the same normal skill, like social skill white guys are same as James Tusk, who sounds like a clown. These are the autistic sociopaths, only cares about money and manipulation. They have no skills whatsoever. So you have made a mistake. And all the medium SMV guys banging 4 out of 10s, right? Do you think that their game works through a huge, massive numbers game? But my students are getting like above their look scale. They're getting white girls, they're getting models, they're getting actresses, and they're getting girlfriends, they're getting married, they're getting long-term girlfriends, multiple fuck buddies, 5-some. You wonder how is this possible? Because they know the social skills, social calibrations, emotional control. So they have more than just whatever like red pill fucking stupid money shit and status. They have more than just wrestling with drunk women in the bedroom and using alcohol like a narcissistic sociopath. So as I'm continuing, so due to these medium SMV guys, all the low SMV guys don't get laid. So number one, they go to a white dating coach. Number two, they go to somebody their own race. If it's an Indian guy, they'll go to an Indian person. They don't get laid. Then they'll go number three. They'll go to an Asian guy like Queefing Casanova, AB, like some stupid Asian. They'll basically have no late testimonials. Queefing Casanova is has more late testimonials than the other guys, but nowhere near like my students. It's only like fucking, a certain amount. When you look at Game Cheesy TV, for example, from Toronto, that guy has 2 late testimonials. One with a white guy with an Asian submissive woman, and the other one with an Indian in Ukraine or some European country. It does like a passport bro. He doesn't actually have any like late testimonials of his own race. It's a complete fucking joke. So other Asian dating coaches, yes, they can get you late in night game, but they can't get you late in day game. Only Johnny Elite can, the only dating coach that's Asian. So basically they go like white, worship their own race. If it's black, they'll go to Justin Wayne or some other Negro. And then they'll go to like some Asian, and then Johnny Elite's always last. They have to be so damaged by all the other narcissistic sociopaths before they come to me, because they tried every other system and I have to do more repair work. They should have come to Johnny Elite first rather than worshiping the infields because of weak-mindedness. Like I said earlier about weak-minded people, I wrote in the article up here. I didn't write this article, but I talked about weak-minded people through this Psychology Today article about, let's see, where is it? About worshiping. So cult worshiping. Psychology Today. So weak-minded people typically this worship. How do cults work? Understanding cults, the basics. So I can give you the actual link over here if you want. So you guys know I'm not just reading shit out of nowhere. Here's the article about cults. They're all meaning cults when you think about it. So basically, understanding the cults. No one ever joins a cult, ABCs or white dating coaches. They are recruited by systematic social influence process, or you see their infields, right? And then you shut off your mind, and then you get gaslighted by the dating coach, right? And you know what gaslighting is, right? And after that, you become dependent Like it says, destructive individuals and cults use deception and undue influence to make people dependent and obedient. So you may just learn that when you take their boot camps, they use alcohol in the bedroom. Everything else is a half truth, of gaslighting. So they say the people that are vulnerable to it, no one joins a cult voluntarily. They are recruited into it. There is a lack of informed consent. That means once they make you worship the infields, they don't have much lay testimonials, like 2 or 0. Charisma king has 0. Everyone has vulnerabilities. Possible situational vulnerabilities include illnesses, death of. Okay, but basically it says other things that for vulnerabilities, right? May include hypnotizability, like the sheeps, right? Like I said, they're easily hypnotized because of the sociopaths are charming. Sociopaths have a high charisma. They tend to attract a following just because people want to be around them. They have a glow, a guru glow about them, like cult leaders, that attracts people who are typically seek guidance or direction. They often appear to be sexy, blah, blah. Okay, so basically, that's what's happening. So it says people have learning disabilities or disorders, vivid imagination, autism spectrum disorders, like most pickup artists. They're mostly autistic for the PUAs. That's why you guys are pickup artists. You can't do multiple steps. So you don't know the difference between what's social skills and what is not social skills. So you go to these white dating coaches that looks like white PUAs, but they have a death stare of a cult leader. They have a charisma. They're all cult leaders, sociopaths. The whole industry is run by cult leaders, sociopaths. And I'll get into it. So basically, and then activity that can be induced an altered state of consciousness, in your case, worshiping. These in turn increases susceptibility to being recruited by cults. And there's strong critical, unless there is a strong critical thinking. And the dialiteracy in good supportive networks. This is a good supportive networks because I'm exposing the cults. So others consist of learning and communication disorders. Most of the Asians go into ABCs probably. Drug or alcohol problems, trauma, right? Because when you have mental trauma, you have sociopath parents. And unresolved sexual issues, which is like a lot of you are just stuck in Daygame. Because the low SMV guys are just SMVing it. They're not getting the same lays. I get all the low SMV guys, underdogs that nobody else can get laid. And I have to get them laid, and I do. It's ridiculous. But I have to teach them social skills and social calibrations and whitewash tonality. So phobias and things that are contributing to it is COVID-19 pandemic, severe economic disruption, inflation, isolation, lack of touch, social distancing, social political polarization, right? Like the wokeism, increased time online, internet addiction, conspiracy theories or whatever. The fucking game theories, all conspiracy bullshit theories. Red pill too. Is this starting to make sense? It's all related. So we talk about the cults, and we have to now. I wish I talked about this earlier, but the low SMV guys do not get laid. So they're always on a hamster wheel. They go from one dating coach to another in the hamster wheel. So because they have low SMV and they're using game is only 2.5 points. Their game is not even like to the level of mine. If my arrow theory can get these guys low SMV laid in like one day, converting them, and they all happen within like this week, right? So I got 3 lay testimonials with arrow theory. Then whatever they're teaching is just spinning your wheels. So if they're teaching you alcohol in the boot camps, they're making you go to a long course that does not work. Even if it has infields of all the words of the students, they don't show the alcohol in the bedroom. Then you go to 6 months to misery course online. Then you go into their boot camps worth 5.6K. 3K for all their courses that did not work. It never worked from the beginning is intentional. They want it confusing as possible because they want to confuse you with unclear concepts. You see everything that just doesn't make sense. So you blame yourself because you fell into the cult influence. You look at the infield, you don't see the alcohol, but you remember in the past, they used to always have a big champagne bottle and they wrestle with her, calling bedroom escalation. But the hamster wheel is that they keep spinning your wheels from one coach to another. Or if you don't get laid with one coach, you spend a lot of money, you go to the next coach. A lot of you guys have been through more than 10 coaches, then you come to Johnny Elite last. Then I get you laid and the whole process is broken. You guys never go anywhere else after that. So it's tricky because on the surface, they may seem similar to your average white dating coach, but they're not. They're delusional, autistic, sociopathic sheeps. They're the sociopathic, narcissistic sociopath that are looking for money, power, sex, and procreation. And they do rely on their silly infield analysis white dating coaches, they can't even demonstrate a same-day lay from open to sex. It always has to be a pull to a cab in Daygame. It's always a nighttime situation. So it's all bullshit. That's why they cannot analyze any of this stuff. right? So, and if a day game coach can, they'll resort to using alcohol, like I said, right? Illegal, because they're a narcissistic sociopath. When you think about it, you could have gone through the fast path, which is Johnny Elite tries to get them laid in the product first. If they can't, then maybe like some online and get them laid, and that's fine. They don't even have to go to a boot camp. I try to fix the problem first, like the doctor that found the cure to cancer, but nobody else wants him to find it. So they all get angry at him and they just want their long chemotherapy treatment because it extracts more money. That's the narcissistic sociopaths we're talking about. They're always about for narcissistic sociopaths, right? They always seek reproductive success, blah, blah, blah. Their phenotype is they're okay. Therefore, the phenotype of a narcissistic sociopath is not a bizarre combination of traits, but rather highly attuned social skills and behavior aimed at increasing long-term biological fitness through wealth, status, and power. In the future, progeny means like procreation. Sociopaths are highly adapted. So basically, even for ABCs, right, they pretend to be nice to you. They may not be that nice. They just know how to speak to you to not offend you and trigger the sheeps, the ones who, whatever. They don't have much infields for their company, but you assume they're good because they know how to use your pain points against you. So, but other dating coaches with infield, you can't analyze it yourself because you don't know where the phone number goes to at all. And even if they do bring her back home, you don't know what happens afterwards. And for some of the other dating coaches, even if they show their infields of their students from line by line, you don't see the alcohol in the bedroom escalation. So therefore, I wish I showed this chart earlier, but like the Mandela effect, you remember the alcohol, the champagne bottles, but it's going to be all censored. I still count that as 0 lay testimonials, 0 lays, because it's illegal to use this wrestling with her when she's drunk. She doesn't fight back because you dominate her. And she had sex because of romance or romantic sexual. And she submits because she might get a boyfriend out of it. But then she has a Stockholm syndrome. Stockholm syndrome is when you side with the captor. So Stockholm syndrome. That's what it is. I forgot to type it. So what's Stockholm syndrome? This is all psychology. This is none of my opinions. So Stockholm syndrome is a proposal condition in which hostages, the word hostages, develop a psychological bond with their captors. I can't see without glasses too well. It is supposed to result from a rather specific set of circumstances, namely the power imbalance contained in the hostage taking, kidnapping, and abusive relationships. Therefore, well, that's just the part I see from the Bing, right? But do you see that's what they use with the alcohol game? They call it retention game, but in reality, they're just getting her to come back because she's a hostage. Because once they have sex with the hostage with alcohol, they bypass her consent. She'll start to like. This is not the type of game because my students can get girlfriends and stuff without using this alcohol and Stockholm syndrome. It's totally illegal. But because of this, they build a business off of alcohol maxing. This is why their day game courses will never work. But a lot of you don't want to listen to the truth. So basically, let's continue what I'm trying to say. There's most people tend to worship white dating coaches initially. Then they go to worship someone their own ethnicity. So black is like Justin Wayne, always doesn't work. But he has infields too, and he also has like lay videos, but he's seeking arrangements and acting scams. Then it's like Obama, right? He block, I vote Obama. It's the same thing. Then you go for Asian coach. Their courses don't work at all. It's only for night game because Asians don't have enough value for day game unless they have social skills and social calibrations. The only ones, without my system that even gets laid from day game from other coaches is if they're like really tall, like 6'2", or they're exceedingly good looking like a K-pop artist. Nobody, or else they have like huge muscles with steroids, even if they're 5'7". Nobody else outside of my students ever gets laid for day game. So that's why they retreat to night game. That's why they like to go to the ABCs, the Queefing Casanovas, not because they can't do day game. Yeah, because they can't do it. But the real reason is they need a backup plan. They know they're not going to get laid from that. That's why they like to go to these European countries, be passport bros, and also like Latin countries. Because they need to status max with third world money status advantage, exotic advantage, and a high status job. They cannot do it on their own. So therefore, only Johnny Late can get you laid for, as an Asian day game coach. I'm the only one of all the Asians. Nobody else can get you laid. I hate to say that, but Asians do actually have a 1 out of 10 perceived natural status. This is why looks or height and stuff like that, husband material raises your money, right? It makes you look like a husband material, more rich, not a provider, but like a boyfriend, girlfriend provider, but husband material. Women wants to get married one day. It's evolutionary psychology. Does that make sense? It's evolutionary psychology. So my students always have advantage. They no longer look like 0 out of 10, like an Asian wash, Asian pride ABC student. They'll never get laid. They're almost like 1 out of 10 there, but they have maximized social skills, social calibrations, emotional control with a whitewash tonality. So they mix all these things together. That's how they're getting laid. So you worship Johnny Elite last, but you ever wonder why this worship culture exists? It's all about mini cults. So they're catering to the narcissistic sociopaths, right? Within the coaching community. These coaches have like they manipulate for financial gain, as you see over there, as I said. And however, let's face it, day gamers are often weak-minded individuals who crave guidance, right? So we talked about that over here in terms of sociopaths are charming for the dating coaches. Sociopaths have a high charisma and tend to attract a following just because people wants to be around them. But let's go down this chart. We only made it to number 5. Number 6, sociopaths are highly intelligent, but they use their brain powers to deceive others, ABCs. This is just my opinion. It doesn't mean like I'm trying to hurt their company or whatever. Their stuff don't work for Daygame. That's a fact. There's no way they can dispute this. They can't. Or RST, it just doesn't work for Daygame very often. Even for the coaches that use RST, like Game Cheesy TV, it doesn't work. There's no way you can add more than 2 lay testimonials. Gen Lifestyle, 0 lay testimonials for Daygame. The only person I knew that got laid from it was a tall, 6'2", good-looking Chinese guy who came to me for coaching, but I said, no, he doesn't understand. He cannot understand not mass approaching. I said, the only reason why you got laid many years ago from it was because you're 6'2" and you're good looking. Nobody else, believe it or not. And he said, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm not just completely saying that he has no lay testimonials. He has one for his course, that one. The night game. He has a lot of night game testimonials, General Lifestyle. Lots. I'm going to be directly honest. I'm not going to spin anything. No half truth pill here. But for Daygame, there's actually 0 documented for their boot camps. All right. So sociopaths tend to be highly intelligent, but they use their brain power to deceive. I'm not deceiving you. You guys know how fucking smart I am. It's not like an exaggeration, right? Like I create mental trauma cure. I figure out how to look younger. I figure out how to get a V-shaped body for students. This is not exaggeration. It's probably I'm not as dumb as I look. Like I may seem like I'm, but most people know I'm, but I don't use it to deceive people. But the narcissistic sociopaths, they wear a mask, right? The guru glow. They use it to deceive people. Exactly what this article says about social engineering for the narcissistic sociopaths. That's what they do. They use it to socially engineer people. They're highly intelligent, but they use their brain power to deceive rather than empower. Even RSD Tyler, he uses a lot of NLP and a lot of like hypnosis techniques to presuppose that he's the tribe leader. So people need to listen to him or you won't get results. And he'll slowly brainwash you out of the belief system. They use a high IQ and it makes them dangerous. Even if they can manipulate to get into their boot camps because their products don't work, just to learn alcohol. They're just smart people, but they're not smarter than Johnny Lee. I can see through them. I'm like a lot smarter than these people. They don't fool me, but they could fool me. They could have gaslighted me in the past. That's how good they are. If they could fool Johnny Lee in the past, they'll fool you guys easily. If someone like me who's that intelligent could be gaslighted by them, you can be gaslighted more. So basically, they use a high IQ and makes them dangerous. This is like the many best known serial killers who successfully evaded law enforcement were sociopaths. Who knows? Maybe some of them actually did evade law enforcement too. They just didn't put them in jail because they couldn't find their address and they forgot about what they did. Not saying anyone in particular, but yeah, but you get the point. The point is that they're like Jeffrey Dahmers and also Ted Bundy. They have that death stare and they know how to deceive people around them. They wear a mask of sanity. I'm not wearing a mask, by the way. I should, but I'm not. Sociopaths are incapable of love. They're entirely self-serving. They may feign love, like pretend or compassion in order to get what they want, just like ABCs. But they don't actually feel love in the way you and I do. They're not compassionate. They don't care about you. And even with women, they pretend to act like they're overly loving, that love bombing them with nonstop whatever. Because whenever they feel like the love hormone floods their system, when they feel like they have a future with her, they have this excessively love whatever thing, but they don't feel love in the real normal way most people do. So The next one is sociopaths speak poetically, just like RSD Tyler, ABCs, and also like other coaches that manipulate you. They can speak really, really well. So I don't have that kind of stream of consciousness. I was just reading off of the script over here, but they tend to be master wordsmiths. They deliver a running stream of consciousness, monologue, both intriguing and hypnotic, just like RSD Tyler. They're expert storytellers, even poets. They're often great examples of this in action. Watch interview with Charles Manson on YouTube. So because they know how to speak in a way that manipulates their audience, right? I'm the opposite. I'm actually like the cult deprogrammer. So that's why people don't like to hear what I have to say. I have no charm whatsoever. But they have this charming stream of consciousness of a sociopath. They'll speak in such a way that people get captured into their speaking patterns. And for today, they're not doing that. So let's talk about how does this. I should have started the video with the BITE model of cults, right? I regret not doing that. I'm just completely winging it. Like, so what is the BITE? How does it work for cults? So this is not a bullshit thing. Look, this is actually research into cults, right? In programming. So maybe if I rebuild this video for the front of the, for the video section, I'm just gonna cut in shorter snippets because most people cannot actually, they cannot actually focus on all of this. So behavioral control, that's B, behavioral control. I stands for information control. T stands for thought control, and emotional control is E. So BITE, kind of like biting, like, biting. That's the bite model. So let's take, for example, somebody that's like ABCs, for example, okay? Or maybe RSD. Behavioral control, instill independence and obedience. I don't do that with anybody that's like not my students. So modify your behavior with rewards and punishment. I only do that when I train people. So I'm more like a drill sergeant. If it's a cult, it's not a cult. I got 581 label testimonials. I'm not doing this because of a cultish things, because it works like a military. Dictate whom and where you live. I don't do that. ABCs without like, oh yeah, go to these fucking Latin countries and be a passport bro. Like, fuck you, right? Restrict your control of your sexuality. I don't do that. Control your clothing and hairstyle. Only for my students, I do that. So I do have a little behavioral control. Regulate what and how much you eat and drink. Well, I don't regulate it, but I tell the students to for the intermittent fasting, but they don't all do it. So deprive you of 7 hours of sleep each night, 7 to 9 hours. I don't do that. Exploit you financially. I don't do that. They do it because they're narcissistic sociopaths. Restrict your leisure time activities. No, I don't do that. Require to seek permission for major decisions. No, I don't do that for any of you here. Sometimes the students do ask me elite access, but they don't require my permission. They'll do it anyway. They're going to do it. But they need my guidance because they know at least lay testimonials. And requires you to spend major time on group indoctrination, rituals, and No, there's no indoctrination. In the inner circle, we just teach them exactly what needs to be done and get them laid. We don't have time for cult shit. So I do have a little bit of behavioral control, but I don't have the other things. Thought controls. So ABC seems to have also behavioral controls too, and also thought control. Okay, information. Deliberately withhold and distort information. That sounds exactly like what they teach for other people when you worship their infield and you realize it's bedroom and the alcohol, right? That's how they convert her. But they're withholding information in their courses because even if they show you every line the student says or what they say, they don't actually show you exactly how it's done. They're withholding information right there. And when they're using half-truth pills in terms of marketing, they're actually withholding information. They're telling you half the truth of the information and everything equals game. So that's how they manipulate you with the information control. They forbid you to communicate with other ex-members and critics. Okay, makes sense. Restrict access to non-cult sources of information. So I don't do that. You guys can go do whatever you want. So I don't have the information control thing. They compartmentalize information for insiders versus outsiders in doctrine. I do a little bit of that for inner circle, but they pay me for it. I have to give them something. But I still tell you all the strategy here on the YouTube live. I just don't give away the tactics or the ground floor level of training. But that doesn't mean like it's information control. If you guys don't pay for coaching, how am I gonna eat, right? And pay the rent. So generate propaganda, use propaganda extensively. I don't use propaganda. I just tell you the truth. It's not opinions as facts, but facts as opinions. Because I have 581 label testimonials. So this is kind of weird because when you look at it, it's all propaganda. If it's all equals game, here's the half truth and it's all game. Use information gained in confession sessions against you. That's kind of fucked up. But some of the sociopaths can manipulate you that way. I don't do that. I don't use anything against my students. Gaslights you to make you doubt your own memory. Remember how I talked about gaslighting? And I had an article on gaslighting for sociopaths over here, self-help amateur psychology. Gaslighting is a term used in self-help and amateur psychology to describe a dynamic that can occur in personal relationships, romance, parental, and workplace relationships. Gaslighting involves two parties, puts a gaslighter who personally puts forth a false narrative, and the gaslighted who struggles to maintain their individual autonomy. Gaslighting is typically only effective when there's unequal power dynamic, and when do you see what I mean? They gaslight you because once you worship their infields and stuff, you submit to authority. You buy their courses, they gaslight you. It's all false information. None of this stuff actually works. If you say, well, I disagree with you, John, their courses do work. If you look at their testimonials, it's always from the boot camp or other coaching. They actually don't have many lay testimonials, less than a handful, less than 2, 3, or 5 for their courses. Sometimes even 0. So they're gaslighting you. They're gaslighting you. So let's continue. I want to make sure I'm still on topic. So the information, they have excessive information control. Requires you to report your thoughts, feelings, and activities to superiors. No, you don't do that with my coaching. That's fucking crazy. It's like encourage you to spy in other people's misconducts and use a buddy system. What the fuck kind of crazy cycle? Use Big Brother. No, I don't do any of that. So I have a few behavioral control because they're training methods, but I have no information control. So what's thought control? How come you don't like? I just they don't have much social skills. They have like no body whatsoever, and they're socially retarded. It's just I can't relate to them. One time I did like a Chinese girl. She was very cute. She has really big eyes and stuff, and very thin waist and a yoga body. But I've only ever liked one Asian girl ever. So she wanted to be my girlfriend. I told her to go fuck herself and fuck off. You know, she was so devastated. Luckily, I didn't do that because I got so many lays after that. Ridiculous. Crazy fucking lays. If I stay with her, you know. Anyways, thought control. Teach you to internalize group doctrine as truth. Okay. That's the thing though. When I say this is the truth, like let's compare me to Charisma King. For Charisma King, he'll say, here's the RSD doctrine. Here's the list of the best pickup artists. This is the truth. RSD method. But they have no lay testimonial. Same with Game Cheesy TV, RSD. So when I say my doctrine is the truth, the difference is I actually have 581 lay poll testimonials. It is actually more than 100% true. It's 581% true. So I'm not using this as a cult tactic. I can back up what I'm saying. But for someone like Charisma King with 0 lay testimonials, this teach you into internalized group doctrine as truth, like RSD does, right? RSD is like, oh yeah, here's the blue pill is a red pill is the same thing too. It's a cult. Does that make sense? And black pill is a cult too, because their indoctrination is, oh, it's all looks or whatever. PUA is like a cult too. None of what they're saying is true unless they can get the students laid. So if ABCs is saying that you should not be a white worshipping Asian simp, you need to have Asian pride, you cannot dress whitewash. When they say all this stuff as the truth doctrine, they don't actually get their students laid for Daygame. For 2022, 2023, 0 lay testimonials for Daygame. So it's not the truth document. Whoever has the truth doctrine actually can get lay testimonials. And it's not just because they have like a certain amount of boot camp lay testimonials. They may have a small amount. Yo, what's up? So because they have a small amount, right? So they don't have the truth behind them. And if someone like saying like, you need a 3-second rule, right? And you need to use DHV stories and then sexualize it, right? If that's what they say, if they don't actually have the lay testimonials for Daygame, it's all tall white guys. That's the only lay testimonials and very few. This is not the truth document or doctrine for thought control. So right now you're learning about the BITE model for cults. This is how they study cults in psychology. B is behavioral control. I have a little bit of that. Information control, I have none of that. We're a thought control. So for the ones who missed it, right? Behavioral control and so on, blah, blah. We'll go into more details. We'll do a quick recap after this. And number 1, instill a black and white us versus them mentality, good versus evil thinking. I do use that to call the enlightened versus unenlightened. So you could say it's cultish, but I disagree. I'll tell you why. Because I have 581 lay poll testimonials. This is not a cult. Like, these guys really are narcissistic sociopaths. I'm just revealing all of this stuff. It's not like a cult mentality. I'm just telling you that how the day game industry works. It's not us versus them. It's just the people that keeps worshiping infields for the pickup artists. They're all like narcissistic sociopaths. They're autistic and they're delusional. They can't stop doing that. So if I'm saying this stuff, us versus them, yeah, it could sound like a cult tactic, but I'm not using it as a cult tactic. I'm telling everybody knows this is the truth. And everybody knows I have more late testimonials than every Asian dating coach for dating, more than every white dating coach, more than every other dating coach combined, many times over. This is actually the truth. They are actually narcissistic sociopaths. And we have gone over the sociopath chart, all 10 traits. We're going downwards now. I'm trying to reach number, we only made it up to number 6 or number 7 or number 8. They speak poetically. This is how they use the codes. They change their identity and possibly your name. I don't do that. The only people's name I change is the Indian students with a white name, but everybody else gets to keep their own name. So for RSD, or ABCs, they become this Asian pride shit. Their identity changes into that. Or the red pill, they become like, they think they're taking the red pill, they're enlightened. That's a cult. Or the PUA pill, they listen to white dating coaches. PUA pill, right? It's all game. They loaded languages and cliches to stop critical thinking and complex thoughts. The red pill would say anyone that's blue pilled is like they're evil, they're stupid, they're not enlightened, right? They don't understand. PUA pill would say, oh, the blue pill does not understand this stuff. So arrow theory, right? Just take coaching with me if you want to learn more. ABCs, right? For their language, they'll stop complex thoughts like, oh, you can't be a white worshipping simp. You cannot dress whitewash. But when you dress more whitewash and you talk more whitewash, you start to fit in with the white tribe. That's why their students don't get laid for day game. But they're stopping your thoughts. Does that make sense? Yeah, but I would rather keep this to my students, at least for arrow theory. How about this? I'll make a new rule, okay? Anyone that joins the elite access will get access to the arrow theory. I'll train you because normally it's supposed to be consulting 2 questions a day, but I can still train you this like pieces of the arrow theory over time. So if you join elite access starting right now, I just made this up. You can be part of arrow theory, not just the inner circle or Kaizen or boot camps. This thing could be from now on taught. But in order to join the elite access, you must have both my products. If you don't have both my products for elite, it's better. Okay, here's the truth. Okay, the cheapest way to get arrow theory is just to get the elite bundle too. Fork over $900 and get your lay. Most of the students did that. It's cheaper than $10,000 in total. It's like 1/10 the price. $900. Save up and train with me. It's not about being cultish. It's not about this. I'm actually helping you uncult yourselves from the worshipping. $900 will get your dick wet, learn arrow theory, and you don't need me after that. And if you want to join the inner circle, it's your choice. People join the inner circle after they get laid. They don't get to join it before then. So it just helps them get laid more. Like I said, I'd rather get you laid as cheap as possible. If I can get all of you laid with just Elite 30, I would. It's just when the inflation hit, your mindset start to, you're not doing the 30-day challenge. You're mentally self-destructing. I'd rather get you laid with the least amount of money possible so I can have more late testimonials. I don't give a fuck about your money. Of course, I still want to pay the rent. I still want to, make money. I do like money. I don't love it like the other dating coaches, but it's secondary to my mission, helping Asian men. And right now, in the past, ABCs had this sort of mentality that 1 in 6 Asian men would not procreate, and 51% Asian women will marry a white guy, right? That got me pissed off. I become a dating coach. However, it's not money first, it's money second. So I do make quite a bit. Like I'm not gonna lie, I actually make quite a bit of money. That's why it took me 5 days to do my taxes. That's why I was so busy. In 2022, you have no idea how much I made. I'm willing to tell you everything, the whole truth. Like, I was literally making 5 figures a month, many months, during a fucking inflation in the beginning. Now it's harder this time because everyone has less money after 1 year, and they're doubling down on the worshipping in the infields. But in 2012, I made quite a bit. So Like I said, I have this sort of problem. I have foot in my mouth disease. I just tell you the whole truth. And I don't filter anything. So loaded language and cliches to stop critical thinking and thought. Sounds like fresh and fit. And yeah, I hope. Yeah, usually the good guys win in the end because I noticed with karma, I don't believe in karma, but a lot of people, a lot of bad things happen to them over time because their thinking pattern manifests fucked up behaviors. So yeah, I'm gonna expose everything. This is the cult leaders thing. I'm just showing you. Induce hypnotic trances and state to indoctrinate. That's how RSD does it. They're using like trances and state. Do you remember how RSD are always showing people, right? Like everyone start chanting out loud as you can. Let it all go. They're using trances and all the state changes and stuff like that, right? And on people, if anyone believes it, say I, right? That's how RSD does it. RSD Jeffy is good at this kind of shit. Even when my student from Australia went to the boot camp, he said everything RSD Jeffy said word for word. They have a whole script to induce you with hypnotic states. For example, he say, presuppose if you are listening to me, then you start getting a lot better results with women because, like my results, you may think that doesn't make any sense, right? If RSD Tyler said that. But he says, presuppose he's the tribe leader. And if you join his stuff, then you will get better results with women because you'll be more. It's all bullshit. They're using all these hypnotic suggestions, NLP stuff, and hypnotic suggestions. They have a whole script written down. I'm going to expose everything, right? I'm going to expose everything. So they use hypnotic and translate states to indoctrinate. RSD does that. And yeah, Red Pill does the same thing, right? If you do this, then you become a simp, right? If you be nice to women, you have to treat them like this. It's all about this hypnotic thought stopping technique in critical thinking. Let's say you got to use a 3-second rule because mystery method says so, and then you got to sexualize it. They're basically having thought stopping, saying like this is the best place, and they always tell a lie over and over. They say we have the leading industry of results. That's a false statement because I'll tell you why it's false. When you look at how many lay testimonials for videos they have like 30. Many of them are repeated with interviews, probably like 15, 20. That's a fact. It's undisputable. Number two, I have more video testimonials than they do. I can post it all day. And people are ignoring because I know you guys have inflation and you guys are very scared, okay? But I'd rather you spend less money and get laid here faster because I'm compassionate. There's no manipulation here. So when they say leading industry, is not true. They're not leading. I have more pickup lay testimonials than they do. Most of the students, when you look at what their ethnicity is, all white. For minorities, there's just, where is it? It's always like a token Asian or a token black, or like two token blacks, one token Middle Eastern. It's all whites. So they have this thought stopping, like, oh yeah, you can only listen to them. Listen, I've never seen a single like same day lay from them for open to sex. They always say like, oh yeah, you got to cut off once in the camera in a bedroom, reasonable expectation of privacy, some mental bullshit. They'll never show it. I understand it. I totally understand it. So this is like what they call thought stopping. The RSD, right? It says over here, allow only positive thoughts, right? Allow only positive thoughts. I'm not joking. See, allow only positive thoughts. So remember how they call high vibrational energy. High vaginal energy. High vibrational energy means you can only have positive thoughts, even though these are screwed up narcissistic sociopaths. This is the high vibrational energy is like, just because they have high vibrational energy doesn't mean that they're good people. They're contaminated people. It's like a zombie with high vibrational energy. They only have evil thrown out there. Does that make sense? So, all right. So basically, does that make sense? That if you only think positively, but they're not positive people, they're really screwed up people for RSD. These are the narcissistic sociopaths. They use excessive meditation, singing, prayers, and chanting to block thoughts. Oh my God. Do you guys remember all the RSD hot seats are people chanting, right? Yeah. Yeah. Hey. 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 Or just like they use all these techniques to stop thinking like, we're going to put him in a mental jail here. This is all cult tactics, guys. I'm basically revealing their playbook. That's how RSD does it. So rejecting rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. So if I say that DHV stories does not work for my low SMV students, they'll reject it. They'll say, "Oh yeah, but mystery said this, mystery said that." It's like we have to submit, and that's part of that information control, right? This is for the eye, for the bite. Deliberately withholding, distorting information. They said they're leading like results for their students, but it's mostly white people. Forbid you from communicating with ex-members, or else they'll be like, they threaten their ex-members, right? Don't speak out or whatever. No problem. I don't give a shit, right? I don't have problems with this guy. He's, personally speaking, I think he's trying to do some good stuff out there, like helping people. I judge a person by their character, not their personality. I don't care, right? We get along just fine. We always get along because two alphas, right? Like animals, they don't want to fight because if we scratch each other on the neck, one can get an infection and die for business. I have the most late testimonials in the world for pickup in Daygame. And they don't want their students to come over here. At the same time, if I scratch over there, I don't want to do that. But that's how the animal kingdom works for evolutionary psychology. We get along just fine. But it doesn't mean I agree with everything they say, because my student results speak for themselves. They compartmentalize information, insider versus outsider. Like if you don't whatever, then everybody else is wrong. They're the only. It's not true. Generic use of propaganda extensively. Use information confession sessions against you. They have done that to their former students. This is a fact. It's not like I'm just saying this for. This is not slander. This is not libel. This is not defamation. I'm not saying that to defame them. I'm just saying that this is what happened. Requires to report thoughts, feelings, and activities to superiors. Courageous spy, whatever, and others. They do that. Big brother surveillance. They do that. So they have the information control. So thought control is all this stuff. Meditation, reject rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. Red pill would do that. Black pill would do that. PUA pill would do that. It's all game. You can't have a rational argument that I have the most late testimonials through social skills, social calibrations, emotional control, and for game is the arrow theory, right? We don't need that much game. We just need the right game. It could be as thin as a skeleton, like arrow theory, insta dating, like insta hangouts, perfect body language, tease at the right times, flirt at the right times. It doesn't have to be complicated. All this other game stuff is just a compensation for autism. So that's the thought control. What's the E? B-I-T-E, bite. What's the E for emotional control? Instill irrational fears of questioning or leaving the group. Phobia, indoctrination. So they make you feel like elitist, special love bombing. I'm not sure if I make you feel like an elitist, like in the cult way. I don't do that. I mean, the students get laid, right? They're already elite. They're banging models. They're banging actresses. They're banging white girls. I think in a way, it's not like I have to make them feel elite. They already are very good. 46 lays in a row, same day lay in like one approach over and over. White girls too. Russians, Ukrainians in Dubai. You guys are pretty elite, guys. You guys, most of the Daygame industry, the PUAs I was talking about, the mass approachers with no jobs or the low-level dating coaches, bottom feeders. They only bang like 4 and 5 out of 10s. The whole industry is built upon medium SMV having sex with 4s and 5s out of 10. They don't actually get like 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s like my students do. They only get 4s and 5s, and they feel satisfied. And then the PUAs with low SMV looks at their friends who bangs 5 out of 10s and think they can do the same thing with game. It's all a deception. The whole industry is either going after Asian women, Black women, 4s and 5 out of 10s, or the same race, Latinos, Latinas, or a white girl who's like 4 out of 10, 5 out of 10. That's the whole industry. This is the only place where you can get models, actresses, white girls, married, procreating, fivesomes, all through Daygame. This is the only place. I'm not saying this is a cult. I'm saying the evidence speaks for itself. So it's not like I ever do that to you, make you feel like an elitist, but ABCs does that. Other people feel that in their group. They promote feelings of guilt, shame, and unworthiness. I don't think I do that. The only people I do like attack is the unteachable cases. I fucking hate like the Latino fuck behavior. So for those kind of people or for Black people that don't pay for coaching anymore, they always spend all their money like it's going out of style. It's not to make you guys feel unworthy. I also on the side give you like a budgeting video on how to budget. They don't watch it. I force them to watch it for the Black students. I keep forcing it down their throats until they watch it. Because they're so ADHD and they can't stop spending money doing impulse. It's not to insult you. It's just telling the truth. And Latinos, I made a chart called Latino fuck behavior. It's the truth. I show it to all my Latino students so they can change from it. But I don't make you feel bad on purpose. If you're an unteachable case, you don't get my sympathies. So it's not a cult. It's just a training method like the army. This is where all the results come from. Use extreme emotional highs and lows. Sometimes, so emotional control, I might do a little bit of this and a little behavioral control, but very little, like 10% of each. Use emotional as evil, worldly, sinful, wrong. No, I don't do that. Red pill does that. If you're blue pill, then you're all wrong. If you're black pill, you're like, oh, if you're like normies, then you're all wrong. POA pill, if you don't use game, then you're all wrong, right? It's all game. But I don't do that. Use emotional stopping techniques to prevent anger and homesickness. No. So basically, thought stopping is what cults do. Whenever they get triggered because they have a cognitive dissonance, when you have two competing ideologies, one of them says, guys, you should learn social skills, social calibrations, emotional control first. Arrow theory is the game, right? Then you get laid. The other guys are saying you should need to worship first, buy their courses, go for online coaching, and then their boot camps. But when I tell them that they're sheeps, they get triggered. So they call this a cognitive dissonance, a brain pain. I don't use the thought stopping techniques. I try to use thought opening. They're using the sheeps are using the thought stopping techniques. Need to be rigorous, including a balance of theory and practice. There's no theories in my coaching, which I'll get into after this. It's all a science. A lot of people use art. They don't use science. It's all opinions as facts. 581 LAPO testimonials is not an opinion. This is a fact. I'll teach you why you guys, I'll explain why all this connects together. So they use thought stopping. The Sheeps uses it. ABC tells you you're a white worshipping simp if you believe you need to be whitewashed. It's all thought stopping techniques. They threaten to harass your family and friends and stuff. You have seen coaches are completely crazy. They'll attack other people around you. That's fucking crazy. I don't do that with people. They'll shun you if you disobey or disbelief. You can leave at any time in my thing. I don't shun you or whatever. You see me shunning people in the outer circle if they leave? No. I just say, whatever, the guy's going to waste his money and then just fuck him. I mean, there was one time I shunned people, which is the Indians for India. They have all backstabbed me, but that's the truth. They all backstab. This is not some cult tactic. The whole country after the inflation, they all lost their fucking minds and they all backstabbed. They all just stopped paying for coaching. They became cheap. They gossiped. They start front stabbing. I just flushed the toilet and got rid of all of them at once. Not in other countries like in the West. I also train Indians. I have a lot in the inner circle. But it's not like shunning on purpose. It's more like these guys are too hostile to train with me. The only ethnicity. But I don't shun other ethnicity. I have white students. I have black students. I have Latino students. Indian students in the West now. I got rid of all the got ones from India. They're all hostile. Sociopath, narcissist, autistic, and Asperger's. They're technical too. But they're emotional. So they're all fucked. But outside of that, I don't shun people. You don't see me getting angry at them. They move on, right? One of my students went to a different company and coached for them, UMP. After I got him 150 lays. Instead of getting angry about it, I said, whatever. But it legitimized a different company. That's not fair, but it's my skills, my game, my social skills. No, it's his social skills, social calibrations, emotional control. He's actually pretty good at the social skills and body language. He has the same fashion, but he's not that good with emotional control. Where he learn how to let her talk more, or good with the game. I fixed that. But he has a lot of good components. But if they leave, it's fine. I just don't care. It happens, right? But most of them come back is not because I'm trying to be like a cult or controlling. People beg to come to the inner circle. If they get laid, please let me join. Please let me join. This is not some cult in the inner circle. The inner circle is just all nothing but the secret sauce. There is no theories. There's no like feel good stuff. It's more like, okay, here's the secret sauce we don't teach in the products and the YouTube lives. This is all the stuff step by step is the tactics. That's all it is. It's not like some kind of cult. Although the symbol may look cultish, another guy who's a millionaire told me to use that symbol, right? I was being mentored by him. But it's kind of cool. It's a very exclusive kind of club. But there's no cultish in whatever I'm teaching. I'm not a sociopath. I don't have a guru glow. They teach you guys there's no happiness or fulfillment outside the group. That is not true. That's completely nonsense. So But other dating coaches are the same ABCs. I didn't realize how cultish ABCs is, or RSD. RSD makes it seem like this is the only place you'll find enlightenment. So now that you realize that BITE model is real, you guys should actually check it out. It's called BITE. Johnny Elite may have just a little bit behavioral control, like 10%, a little bit of emotional control, but not the other two. There's not enough contamination to be a cult. This is actually not a cult. This is just my training methods are extreme. It works. Unlike the cult, the more cultish it is, it doesn't work. Right? So, okay, that's good. Yeah, it's a good thing, executive, right, to move out of the country, because you're like the sum of the 5 people you're closest to. Is a lot healthier when you realize outside the West, right? So even through our conversations, even though I kicked out all the Indians from India, because you're moving out of India, you'll be in a healthier environment. You'll be in a healthier environment. So congratulations. That's really good. But yeah, you can see that now we're going to talk about the next topic, right? Is how did they game you with the words, the thought control, information control? How does it really work? So they use, there's only one metric. So like the lay testimonial is the only metric. So that means like everything else is all bullshit. Everything Charisma says is all bullshit. And you look the chart, right? But beyond sociopathy, there's a dark triad personality and dark tetrad. So for example, dark tetrad means sociopath, narcissism, and Machiavellian manipulation. That's right. That's how they operate. So now that we talked about the BITE model, there's no worship component in my training. You don't have to worship me. In Inner Circle, nobody worship me. They're only interested in their own results. They want to get that lay. Worshiping Johnny Lee is optional, but I'd rather you not. I might even like have a policy, no worship policy, because I don't want to create a cult, like a cult followers of brain dead sheeps, because you can extract a lot of money from them. If I'm this smart and I know all this stuff, right, about psychology, I could literally socially engineer all you guys. I probably could be the richest day game coach in the world. Why don't I do it? Because I don't want to create a cult. Think about your family will ask you to send money back home because they're narcissistic sociopaths. They'll treat you like an investment. They invest in your engineering skills. They want money back in the future. Then they'll try to force you to arrange marriage. Watch out, okay? Protect yourself from this. I'll make a future video about this stuff so you can learn how to get rid of the narcissistic sociopaths. For Indians and Indias, all they care about is the image. What would other people think? Everything's like a circus of how much they protect their image, their ego. The sociopaths. Protect yourself, executive. Protect yourself. All right, let's continue. So based on the BITE model, the next thing is called correlation does not imply causation. Let's see if I wrote it down here. Okay, so just to make sure I'm not bullshitting you, I have a chart over here from Wikipedia. Okay, and this is how they manipulate or brainwash you. So over here, as you can see, this is not like I photoshopped this. Look at this. So this is a Wikipedia article. Correlation. How about this? I'll just link you the article then. Okay, so make sure I'm not bullshitting. Correlation doesn't equal causation, right? On Wikipedia. So how do they game you? I'm just gonna link the article right now. Like I said, there's no manipulation here. I'm just revealing the truth. It's not that there's an algorithm behind what I wear. So all the students wear the same thing, but you don't understand the algorithm. You may look on the outside, you may see the tactics where I conquer, but you don't know like how the strategies derive from. So when you look at this thing, right, correlation does not imply causation. You know how sociopaths, they have opinions as facts, which we're going to get down to the list as we're going down the top 10 list, right, of the sociopaths. We have gone through all of them. Sociopaths are charming. Number 2, they're more spontaneous, intense than other people when the mask is ripped off. Sociopaths are incapable of feeling guilt, shame, remorse, right? Number 3. Number 4, they invent outrageous lies about their experience. Everything is half truth. Number 5, sociopaths seek to dominate and win at all cost, right? Number 6, sociopaths tend to be highly intelligent. Number 7, sociopaths are incapable of love. Sociopaths speak poetically. Number 8, Number 9, sociopaths never apologize. They are never wrong. They never feel guilt. They can never apologize. Even if they're shown proof they are wrong, they refuse to apologize. Instead, go on the attack. So basically, they'll say something like, oh, because you have all these testimonials, that's A, right? Plus B equals it must be all fake. Why do they think like that? Or if they worship infields, they have infields, B is like, and they have like whatever, a Daygame course, and number C, they're going to get laid. It's always like A plus B plus C does not match up. Because sociopaths never apologize, they're never wrong in their own mind. So they have this twisted logic. Now that you look at the Wikipedia page of causation doesn't equal correlation, let's go read up what it has to say. So there's a formula on how you can reverse engineer the truth. I'll teach you. So I'll just give you a brief overview before we talk about this. Okay. Okay, so correlation does not imply causation. The phrase correlation does not imply causation refers to the ability to legitimately deduce cause and effect. So we're going to use that into the equation, cause and effect. Relationship between two events or variables solely bases on observed association or correlation between them. The idea is that the correlation implies causation is an example of a questionable cause logical fallacy, in which two events occurring together, taken to have established a cause and effect relationship. But the fallacy is known as the Latin precum hoc ero propter hoc. With this, therefore, because of this differs from fallacy known as the whatever. After this, because of this, in the event following unnecessary consequences, the former event of conflation, meaning merging. Basically, with any logical fallacy, identify the reasoning behind the argument is flawed. Basically, it's saying the cause and effect, right? So X equals cause, Z equals effect. Y equals the reason why. That's the truth. For them, they say X is the cause. They'll brainwash you with the Y. And then the Z is not the effect. Does that make sense? That's how they work. Right? So this is how they manipulate you. Correlation doesn't equal. Statistical methods have proposed that using correlation as a basis for hypothetical tests for causality, including the Ganger causality test and cross. So basically, it's saying that it doesn't work. If you have opinions as facts, which we'll get to number 10 on the sociopath chart, we finally made it to number 10. Okay? So this one says over here about Charles Manson. Sociopaths are delusional and literally believe what they say becomes the truth. For me, it's different. I'll show you why it's different. I don't have opinions as facts because I'm not a sociopath. I have facts as opinions with 581 lay testimonials. So sociopaths are delusional. They literally believe what they say becomes the truth. Lots of Indians do this in India. And a lot of the PUA say this, like, oh, your testimonials must be fake because you can fake testimonials. X plus Y equals Z. In reality, they're all actually low-level dating coaches. They're like bottom feeders. They're jealous because they can't believe that someone can get all these late testimonials. The reason why they're stuck is because they dismiss it because they think it's impossible. But they have opinions as facts. That's why they're low-level dating coaches. They never made it for these low-level London guys. So merely because they say it. Charles Manson, the sociopath murderer, is famous as saying, I've never killed anybody. I don't need to kill anyone. I think it here, pointing to his temple, I don't need to live in this physical realm. That sounds completely delusional. Right here. Make sure I'm not word for word. See that? So this is the Charles Manson opinions as facts you get from other dating coaches, like Charisma King, like Red Pill, like Fresh and Fit, like Rollo Tomasi, like other people saying it's all a game. It's all bullshit. Opinions as facts. So how does this actually work, this formula? It's very simple. So when we look at it, this is why you're stuck, because most dating coaches have like this A equals B formula or A plus B equals C way of thinking. Like, for example, if they say like, if the dating coach can do it, that's A, and they have testimonials, which they might use all alcohol in the bedroom, then you will get results. But no, that's C, we will get results, but it's not true. When you think about reverse engineer, X equals, they have a few lay infields and the students get laid in it. Z, X plus Y equals Z. Z is that they have less lay testimonials than me, factually, only like 30 something. Even if they add another 20, they have way less than me. I have 581. Even if they have 40 something, okay? Even if they have that. So that's the Z, that's the results, cause and effect. Why? Why it doesn't work for their products, it only works for their boot camps, is because They don't use the alcohol crutch. You cannot teach that in the actual 6 months to misery courses, and you cannot teach that during their products. So their game tactics is all bullshit. So you can what they call reverse engineer the X plus Y equals Z. Does that make sense? You can reverse engineer. So for causation does not imply causation. Game cheesy TV has lots of infields, right? That's how the sheeps think. A. So B equals it must be good, and the students will get results. Or if we break it down to A plus B equals C, right? A, Game cheesy TV from Toronto has a lot of infields. Number 2, they have a lot of students in their boot camps. Number 3 equals like this will work for you. But that's a false statement. So if we break it down to my formula, X plus Y equals Z. X is the cause and effect. X is the cause. Game cheesy TV is using RSD direct game validation without status maxing. So what's the effect? 2 lay testimonials. One guy got laid through a white guy got laid with an Asian girl, and the other one's an Indian guy who got laid in Ukraine using status maxing, but not in Toronto. So therefore, if that's the Z, that's the effect, and here's the cause, then what's the Y? What's the reverse engineer? It means RSD stuff does not work, number 1. Number 2, direct does not work. Number 3, validation does not work. Number 4, he can't get an Asian guy laid. Number 5, does that make sense? You can reverse engineer all this stuff. James Tuss, right? He's a tall, good-looking dating coach. This is like what you guys think. A, because James Tuss is tall and good-looking, then he must be a good dating coach because he's exactly the same as the white guys. B equals you get results if you listen to James Tuss in London Daygame. So A plus B, correlation does not equal causation, as it says over there in the chart. That's your correlation and causation, your logic. This is how they manipulate your logic when you're worshipped, and then they gaslight you. So there's in the Wikipedia, correlation does not equal causation. And I put a link there. So if that's what the sheeps think, correlation, James Tuss, white, tall, good, must, then we have to look at the real formula, X plus Y equals Z, the John Lee formula. What's the cause? X, right? What's the effect? Z. So what's the cause? James Tuss is a London Daygame coach going direct, a white guy. Z, only 2 Daygame lay testimonials. It used to be 1 after all this time. So what's the Y? Now we're going to reverse engineer the Y. Get it? Number 1, direct does not work. It's always direct that does not get lay testimonials. Number 2, he's probably not a neurotypical normal white guy. He's probably a sociopath and autistic. That's why his stuff does not work. That's why he's so clowny. You see that? You reverse engineer. Number 3, the second guy who got laid was super good looking, like better looking than James Tuss. And it wasn't James Tuss that got him, and one of the coaches got him laid. Number 4, no lay testimonials. The whole thing is fake. All their concepts are fake. Direct game does not get lay testimonials. You see that? You can actually get the actual real reasoning behind it. Does that make sense? X plus Y equals Z, the Johnny Elite formula to discern the truth. So look at Justin Wayne, for example, a black dating coach. Number 1, Justin Wayne has a lot of girlfriends, a lot of white girls, decent looking for a Negro. And then all of a sudden, right, you think A equals B, right? Then if you're black and you listen to Justin Wayne, you get lay testimonials, automatic thinking. Now let's use so that A plus B equals automatic thinking. That's how we're going to describe it. But however, if we use the correlation does not imply causation, A plus B equals C. They can manipulate the B. So A equals like he gets this result. B, he'll manipulate the B, right? Saying that if you use romance, then you'll get this kind of result. C, you could see all the results he got. And then the sheep's manipulated. Okay, now we go to option C, right? So A plus B equals your automatic thinking. B equals like their manipulation. Number C, X plus Y equals Z. X is the cause and Z is the effect. So X, for example, is that he has lay videos, same day lay from open to sex. He has multiple girlfriends. Z, he has 10 lay testimonials for Justin Wayne, but 8 of which is all instructors. Only 2 are normal people. So what does that mean? The other instructors are like Aaron Alexander, which is Evolutionary Daily. They have Manny Wayne, Bruce Wayne, another coach that's tall, black with dreadlocks. Do you see a pattern here? It's always like a coach. They have Michael Wayne. They have other people, but it's always a coach. So now that we look at the cause and effect, a tall, good-looking Asian guy who's handsome married a white girl, and somebody else. But that's it. So if we look at X plus Y, or we look at X and Z, right? We know that's the effect. So what's the Y? It's very simple. He's using seeking arrangements. This is all a job scam. He tells the women they're in an acting exercise. So he becomes higher status as a high status job. He's the boss, a music producer. He brings the women into the funnel. And at the end, he does close her. I mean, he did have the skills to close her, but he used a purple pill game, money game, and status game, high status frame. So he closes her. He gets it into the video, but it's all manipulated because they manipulate the value. That's why the girlfriends all leave afterwards, the inflation, because he no longer has that kind of money to pay them for seeking arrangements. This is not opinions, it's facts, guys. You can discern every single day game coach in the world. ABCs of attraction, because they say they're like an Asian company that's well known on the news. Therefore, they get a lot of Asian results, right? That's the automatic thinking. They have to be good because they're Asian and he's short. Okay, now here's the manipulation. A, right? Let's talk about manipulation. Plus B equals C. Number one, because they're Asian company and they're on the news, therefore they must be good. B is the manipulation. You must have Asian pride. You must brainwash yourself with this Asian pride mentality in their boot camps. And C equals Asian results. But that's a big lie. That's a fallacy. Let's look at the Johnny Lee equation. X is the cause. Z is the effect. So X is that ABCs of attraction does not actually use like whitewash fashion. They're Asian pride. They don't believe in whitewash tonality. They don't believe in whitewash fashion, anything whitewash. Z for Daygame, they have 0 late testimonials in 2022, 2023. They might have got one before in 2021 or 2020. They may have 5 and 6 in total. So number one, if that's the effect, right, it doesn't work for Daygame for the last 2 years. And they're using, so what's in between? What's the why? Now I'm going to give you the exact list reverse engineering. Number one, mystery method does not work for low SMV Asians. I've only ever known it work for one Asian who's a good looking guy who was able to use it like a love drop system. But outside of that, he's the only one. He's like, looks like a K-pop artist. Nobody else as Asian has been able to use this thing during the inflation or pandemic. That's why. That's number one. Number two, because they're not whitewashed. They're Asian washed. Number three, their students are so low self-esteem and they game them using these forum groups to study their pain points. Does that make sense? So they know exactly how to push their buttons. And those are the kind of people that become their students. And then number four, because they're using night game, is not like 20 out of 35, looks is out of 10, money out of 5, status is out of 10, social skills 2.5, social calibration 2.5, emotional control 2.5, game 2.5, because they're not technically using that, right? They don't have social skills, or even they have a little bit of social calibration. It's not like my students. They don't have emotional control in a nightclub because you can't really emote that well. You can only talk a little bit. And game tactics, they have like half the equation. They don't have enough to get over the line for day game because their students are super autistic. They rapport seek like crazy. They have no confidence. They have no social skills. They dress Asian wash. They have no chance at day game using mystery method. So you can see that why is very accurate. John Elite knows. I know all the insider stuff. So X plus Y equals the results for Z. Does that make sense? Reverse engineering. We can go through every single day game coach in the world, and they'll show you exactly the same thing. Charisma Kings. This is all RSD stuff. They're number one. They're the best dating coaches. RSD, like Charisma Kings, 0 late testimonials, right? So how does it happen? Las Vegas, easy place. RSD has no social skills whatsoever. He has Poe Infields, but it doesn't actually show LA because white dating coaches cannot do it. Number three, all the tactics, everything about acting lessons is wrong. You know, they have no social skills. He has a low value cuck behavior. RSD, all the people you worship, it didn't work for the minorities for him. He has 12 testimonials, but none of them got laid. One of them had 3 Poes, a white guy, but not LA. So therefore, Charisma King, everything he says is all bullshit. X plus Y equals Z. Rather than, oh, he's white and he used to be part of RSD, therefore in girls chase, he must be good. That's a automatic thinking. Number two, he's going to say he's part of girls chase RSD before. He's going to have all these stupid theories about mental bullshit. Eye contact's the most important. And then, you know, fucking acting lessons. Everything is wrong. All this stuff. And number three, he's going to think, because if you do all this stuff and he's white, you're going to get results. But you don't get results. X plus Y equals Z. You guys get it? Another person may be like A, because they get results, then you get results. That's automatic thinking, right? So you buy all their products, in their boot camps, you get results because that's the automatic thinking. But number two, A plus B with a half truth equals C. A because they say they have results, and they're the only ones who can teach the game because they get results. Their students can show the infields and stuff, although they got way less than me for the student results. Therefore, you're going to get results. That's their half truth. But when you look at X and Z, X is that number one, they get some results and their students have a limited results, but there's only so many testimonials in infields. Number two, when you look at it, it's almost like they only have a certain amount of late testimonials. What's the why, right? What's the why? They all use alcohol in the bedroom. That's the conversion mechanism. Everything before then for the products don't work. That's a fact. When you look at the effect, the products don't work for the Daygame. No matter how much they show infields, it's always confusing because the alcohol crutch is not there. So you can reverse engineer this. It's very easy. They're just giving half truths. Do you see that? So for executive, are you starting to see the pattern here? We can pick another dating coach, right? It doesn't matter who. Coach Kyle. Okay? Coach Kyle, he has like maybe one infield or whatever. And he has 3 late testimonials, 3 good-looking guys. X, Z, cause effect. So A, because he's white, right? Equals B. Because he's white and he has infield, he must be good. Right? That's automatic thinking of the sheeps. Number 2, right? Okay, X plus Y equals Z. Okay, so basically, because I have to go bathroom, that's why I'm talking. So number 1 is called automatic thinking, okay? A plus B equals automatic thinking. Does that make sense, executive? B equals like the marketing from the coach. A plus B equals C is the marketing, okay? Make sense? And then the last formula, X plus Y equals Z. This is the real Johnny Elite formula to reverse engineer what's going on. Does that make sense? So let's say, for example, Coach Kyle, because he's white and he has a few pole infields, or I'm not sure if it's a pole, but he has a few infields. Therefore, they assume he's good, right? So that's automatic thinking. Yes, I'm reverse engineering. Yes, that's correct. So that's automatic thinking. Remember how I talked about people that are susceptible to cults and early on? They're susceptible to cults because they have automatic thinking. They don't have critical thinking. So they manipulate you. So now it's A plus B equals C, right? Does that make sense? Here's the marketing. Coach Kyle has all these concepts. Number 2, he has these infields. Equals C, you get results. That's the marketing. Because he's white, he's good looking. He must be good as the other guys who are normal white guys who are not autistic sociopaths. Now let's reverse engineer with a Johnny Elite concept. X is the cause. Coach Kyle has like a few infields, a huge following. Z equals, he only got 3 late testimonials, 2 good looking white guys, better looking than Coach Kyle, 1 Latino guy, better looking than Coach Kyle. So what's the Y, right? X plus Y equals Z. Let's reverse engineer it. Number 1, all his infields are nighttime, like Todd V. Always nighttime. Number 2, he goes direct. Number 3, it only worked for 3 people. He didn't want to pad his testimonials, only showed the student results. Number 4, he was learning from RSD. You see that? The Ys that keep stacking up is always one thing that keeps happening. RSD with Game Cheesy TV, with Charisma King, with Coach Kyle. He went to boot camp, right? Coach Kyle with RSD Max or something. RSD always seems to stop people's results. Reverse engineering it. Smoking gun. Not my opinion. It just doesn't work. Rather than thinking he's white, he's into RSD shit direct and he must be good, or else his manipulation, does that kind of make sense? It's all starting to make sense for every other dating coach out there. It all makes perfect sense. X plus Y equals Z. So Johnny Elite, right? X is a 5'7" Asian dating coach. Z equals 581 LAPO testimonials, right? That no other dating coach has for Daygame. Not any Asian coaches to this degree. Not any white dating coaches. Not any other dating coaches. I have like literally more than everyone combined many times over. So what the fuck is Y, right? It's a long list. Whitewash fashion, whitewash tonality, social skill flow drill, arrow theory for game. flirting when she talks more, teasing when she's off the line, social skill, flow drill, body language, like a tribe leader, evolutionary psychology, whitewash fashion, husband material frame equals raising your looks, raising your money because it looks richer, right? Raising your status, right? Raising your status and also raising your does that make sense? All this stuff, right? Whitewash tonality, in tribe, evolution, all this stuff is what Johnny Lee equals all these lay testimonials, right? Other people like automatic thinking. Johnny Lee has the most lay testimonials. It has to be fake. That's automatic thinking for the haters because they're low level dating coaches. Or Johnny Lee has most testimonials because he's Asian. That's not the whole equation. I've been in Daygame for 22 years and teaching for 11 years now for Daygame. I field tested and split tested every system. I was trained by naturals. I've been trained by a dozen naturals, Pakistani mentor, a bunch of white inner circle members. I've been trained by Middle Eastern people. I've been trained by lots of naturals. Pakistani guy too, like a short one and a tall one. I've been trained by like a lot of people. Another white guy. So a lot of naturals have trained me. So that's actually part of the why equation. That too, but that doesn't automatically mean like you need it. But mental trauma is not good to have on your face. There's no X plus Y equals Z. But it does help a lot. If you have too much mental trauma, it can hurt. But it doesn't automatically mean the students that took mental trauma cure automatically get laid. Some of them already got laid because they took mental trauma cure. But some of them still got laid and they took mental trauma cure afterwards. You see, I'm not going to lie to make more money. I'm not going to manipulate the A plus B equals C. When I tell people the truth, here's the X, right? Some people took mental trauma cure, got laid. Some people didn't. So, and they're still work in progress. That's the X. So, some people already got laid and took it afterwards. And that's Z. That's the result. Y equals it helps you with your emotions. There's no Y. It's just, it helps you in other areas. So it's inconclusive. You see that? I'm telling you guys the truth. There's no spin here because it's not a cult. But it can help a lot of people because a lot of people do go through a lot of mental trauma. There's no correlation that if you get rid of all your mental trauma, she's going to jump on your dick. But it's a great help for one category, your emotions. That's the why. Your emotions will raise the points to 2.5 points rather than being like angry or maybe been too hurt over the years. It's going to affect your tonality, your body language, and your social skills. Does that make sense? So I'm telling you the truth. Even if it means I lose money for mental trauma care, I don't care. Everything I'm saying here in this video is 100% true. No spinning. So now that you understand that X plus Y equals Z, right, for infields, this and that, you guys are now debunked, right, for all the automatic thinkers that infields equal lay testimonials. We can pick any dating coach out there, Bradicus. Bradicus is automatic thinking because he's ugly and he's tall and he's white. Other people say he's really good. Therefore, you probably get laid listening to him. So Bradicus says this. He's tall, white, ugly. He says you need to give validation. You need to escalate like crazy and just mass approach equals you think it'll get you results. But now that you look at the Johnny Elite formula, Bradicus says all these bullshit. He mass approach. Okay, that's X. That's my claim. Cause. Z. We never seen a same day lay from open to sex. We don't see a single lay testimonial on his own. That's a fact. There is no lay testimonials. So Y equals what? Number one, most likely nothing happened. He just pulled the women home, all of them. Number two, if it happens, he might use taxi money. That's what he uses to close them. I mean, they'll pretend to have like a taxi to go home and he'll pay the women and then maybe something may happen there. Number three, he'll go right to Tinder. If that doesn't work out, the next day he'll go to Tinder. Number four, I've met this guy. He told me he has like this many lays and this many. Then afterwards, at the end of the day, it just doubles his lay count on that day. It's like, what the fuck? How you double your lay count? Here's like 3 more on Tinder. He was teaching a student that day. So how the fuck do you get 6 lays while you're teaching a student? It's all lies. You get it? It's a white plausibility, automatic thinking. He's white, he must be good. No, I would say I beg to differ. I would say that he's probably one of the worst day gamers alive. The most autistic. Literally burns everything to the ground. You see that? You can reverse engineer everybody. We pick another dating coach. You start to see the formula. Causation does not imply causation. I see it, right? It's all easily, I know all the insider information for all the coaches. You think, like, for example, a tall white dating coach says mystery method is the way. That's the cause. The effect is that only students that get laid, or like a huge volume of students taking their cheaper course or something, like mentally challenge. Only like a few gets laid. White guys, tall white guys. THV stories only work for tall white guys because they're, well, before I talk about that why, right? This is the effect. Very few Daygame lay testimonials. Even for themselves, no actual same day lay infield for open to sex. It always just cuts out a cap. Nothing else. You don't see any of that stuff. So what's the why? Mystery method, once again, like ABCs, does not work for minorities, for most of them. DHV stories only work for those who are black or white. A token black who is a music producer. Number 3, it means that sexualizing it nonstop does not work for those who lower SMV, because my students are not able to get to work. It only works for medium SMV higher. Number 4, number farming through a funnel of texting does not work for most minorities. They get flakes. White people get 10% stats when they have no social calibrations. Number 5, they don't have social calibrations. Him, Paul Janka, other people, they don't. Only through same day lays is the fastest way to get most lay testimonials, but they don't. Because little Jewish guy that uses the same system or something, he's got a few lay testimonials, but they're always night game. When a white guy like is super good looking, he only attracts the male model looking white guys. They get like some results. But when you look at his testimonial page, you can scroll through it in less than like, so the X is his claim. He claims all these testimonials, or he transformed this many students, or they found like intimacy, or whatever the fuck, using vague terms. It's all fake. Why? They have some testimonials, white people who are looking at male models. What's the why? Number 1, this stuff only works for tall whites who look at male models. Number 2, they're doing it mostly through night game. If it's day game, it's only tall whites. Number 4, they all look like male models. Number 5, this is not for anybody else. Number 6, they use a little bit of romance. The romance does not work for most people. 7, while he does have quite a few testimonials, they're mostly night game. You see that? You can reverse engineer X plus Y, X and Z, cause and effect. I'm not sure about the brick method, but you can reverse engineer every single day game coach, because I know the insider information. But you can see that you should not have automatic thoughts like A equals B. Because he's white, therefore he is good. Or whatever they say. Because A, and this is the B, they teach like all this stuff, right? Pulling is important as fast as possible. While that's true, equals like results, but it's not true because it doesn't work for most of the low SMV guys, just male model looking guys. X plus Y equals Z. X is that he's a short little Jew. Like, he sucks a bit. I don't want to sound like Kanye West. Z equals like, I used to take Krav Maga, is really martial art. So for a military, so I'm actually training that. So I'm not anti-Semitic. But the thing is that X equals Z. The only results is the students who are tall, good-looking, white during night game in most cases, few day games here and there, always male model. And that's why Y equals mystery method, quick polling, this and that. Quick polling works. That's the why, because he has some testimonials. But mostly night game is 15 out of 35. They're way above the line. They don't even need any game. They're above 15 out of 35. Their looks, if their race is 10 out of 10 for being white, their looks is like 8 out of 10 or 9. They're already 19 points, right? While they don't always get in day game, night game is automatic lay. Does that make sense? It's all perfectly calibrated. Romance already cuts off the testimonials only for the good-looking guys who can fit in the boyfriend-girlfriend material. It's all related. Let's conclude this video. Okay, I gotta go to the bathroom. That's why I'm talking faster. I've been holding it in for the last hour. So now that you can reverse engineer it, right? For the haters, A plus B equals C, right? A is too many late testimonials. B, right? They can't even get one, right? Because they're a dating coach, low level, and C, oh, it has to be fake, right? That's automatic thinking. In reality, if you take X, the cause, social skills, flow drill, social calibrations, whitewash tonality, arrow theory for game, then you could take whitewash fashion, whitewash hairstyle, maybe some mental trauma cure for emotions, dressing husband material, whitewash equals what? Automatic lay. That's the why. And why is the students adapting to 20 out of 35? They're over the line of fuckability. They have the right mindset, the right grit. Equals Z, 581 LAPO testimonials. Arrow theory, why, all that stuff. So why does Game Cheesy TV and lots of you get the point. So that's all I gotta teach you guys. Thank you for watching this video. I know that you guys dropped off, but I really appreciate this. But just to recap, this is the 10 traits of sociopath. They're charming, dating coaches, like with a guru glow. They're spontaneous, intense to other people when you rip off their mask. They're unable to feel guilt, shame, and remorse. They can use alcohol in the bedroom, wrestle with her. Sociopath invent outrageous lies about their experience. They use the A plus B equals C formula. The B is always lies. Everything they say is a lie. It's gaslighting. And you guys know what gaslighting is, right? We talked about this just to recap. Gaslighting is like telling you false information to gaslight your brain. So if we look at back again, just to recap. So just scroll up. We're done here. Just make this smaller. Okay, gaslighting is an insidious form of manipulation. I can't see. About psychological control. Victims of gaslighting are deliberately and systematically fed false information, half-truth pill, that leads them to question what they know to be true, often about themselves. So they just lie to you. So they tell you the truth and tell you half-truth. Everything's a lie. Everything that happens, the results did happen, but in a different way. They end up doubting their own memory. That's what they want, to destabilize your mind. Their perceptions, and even their sanity. So a sociopath has to gaslight you. That's why Todd V cannot stop gaslighting. Red Pill cannot stop gaslighting. Over time, a gaslighter's manipulation can grow more and more complex and potent, making it increasingly difficult to the victim to see the truth. So if they cannot gaslight you, so if you're dumb enough to worship their infields and listen to their information, you deserve to be gaslighted. I'm ungaslighting all of you. So that's number 2, right? The gaslighting chart over here. And then we'll go through the BITE model. Right? Just to recap. BITE stands for behavioral control, information control, thought control, emotional control. Let's quickly go through it. Behavioral control, instill dependence and obedience, modify your behavior with rewards and punishment. Like I said, I'm not a cult leader. I do have a tough training method, but at least to 581 late poll testimonials. If it seems like there's a reward and punishment system, I do have it. But I only got like 10% of like 2 sections. Very small contamination. They have like 100% or 150. Dictate where and whom you live. Restrict or control your sexuality. Control your clothing and hairstyle. Well, like I said, I'm not doing this to be a cult because they all dress like me. I'm doing it because it works. Regulate how much you eat and drink. It's just to lose body fat. It's not because of that. It's optional. Deprive you of 7 hours sleep. I don't do that. Exploit you financially. I don't do that. They do it because they're narcissistic sociopaths. We talked about that. Just to recap, narcissistic sociopaths, how they operate according to the site. It's going really quickly. Cognitive empathy is a mental skill. It's like they know how to game you. They closely observation in order to understand and predict human behaviors, blah, blah, blah. Basically, when we go down on this thing, right? They always seek reproductive success through procreation and aggressive nepotism, accompanied by in-group identification, racism, xenophobia, like ABCs, right? The white worshipping simp, and then the Asian women, white worshipping whore, hypergamy, patriarchy, white worshipping, right? So our future children will have a better status. Like they're using that kind of stuff. Xenophobia, nationalism. Therefore, the phenotype narcissistic sociopath is a bizarre combination of traits, highly tuned social skills and behavior, wear a mask. Through a biological fitness, through wealth, status, and power. That's why they get more money. All dating coaches, besides me, are really into money. That's why they funnel you into boot camps. They first feed you false information, make you worship, but for ABCs, they make you feel bad about yourself. Then they make you worship through pain points. But for other dating coaches, infields equals products equals online courses equals boot camps, $11,000 USD that they make. This is for a future progeny, for procreation. Sociopaths are highly adapted, right? Okay, and then let's continue the BITE model, right? Just to recap, just to be, exploit you financially, restrict your leisure time and activities. I don't do that. Require you to seek permission for major decisions. Require you to spend major time on in-group indoctrination rituals, including self-indoctrinate on the internet. They don't do that. You only get invited to the inner circle if you actually get laid. So information control, deliberate withhold, distort information, half-truth pill, Todd V. Everything's half-truth, and then everything's about game, red pill, distortion. Other PUIs saying, oh, they're the best, whatever. It's all bullshit. Like, they have the most student results in the world. No, I got the most. I got way more late testimonials. I have way more fucking students laid in pickup than they do for Daygame. I got way more than that. So forbid you to communicating with ex-members and critics. Restrict access to non-cult sources of information. That's why they roast everybody and shit like that. Compartmentalize information, insider versus outsider doctrine. Gene rate, using propaganda extensively. That's what they do. Use information gained in confession sessions against you. They have done that to other people that defected. They tell everybody that defects to shut the fuck up or else. Then they'll threaten them with a lawsuit. I'm just speaking the truth here. I mean, one of my old students, they all been through that. This is a fact. This is not like slander. This is not like libel. This is not defamation character. I'm just speaking the truth from this thing. This is my opinion. And besides that, I can prove all that stuff. It's not a problem. I don't have any problems with this coach. I judge them by their character, not their personality. So I know they're trying to do good with the industry, so I'm okay with that. And they attack RSD. So requires you to report your thoughts, feelings, and activities to superiors. I don't know what the fuck that means. Encourage you to spy and report others' misconducted buddy system. Use Big Brother surveillance methods. Okay, thought control. Teaches you to internalize group doctrine as truth, right? Like RSD. Instill black and white thinking, good versus evil, like red pill. Change your identity, probably even your name. I'm not sure about that. And use loaded languages like cliches to stop critical, complex thoughts, like RSD thinking, because that's high vibrational energy. That's low vibrational energy if you're resisting. That guy's low vibrational. Stop thought. That's called thought stopping for a cult. Induce hypnotic and trance states to indoctrinate, like RSD. Everyone, let's chant right now. Hey, hey. That's chanting. That's from cults. Teaching you thought stopping techniques, right? That's low vibrational energy. Cannot think that. Prevent critical thoughts because if they say it's low vibrational energy, nobody can challenge it, like red pill. Oh, you're being a simp. Therefore, oh, this guy is not like. Allow only positive thoughts, high vibrational energy. Use excessive meditation, singing, prayer, and chanting to block thoughts. That's what they do in their free tour. Reject rational analysis, critical thinking, and constructive criticism. Emotion control. That's the last one. BITE. Bite. Install irrational fears of questioning or leaving the group. Phobia induce. Makes you feel like elitist, special love bombing, in the group. We don't have any of that thing like in there. Promotes a feeling of guilt, shame, or unworthiness. I only do that for students that are like unteachable cases, like shitty students, like Latino fuck behavior or Indians from India, right? But I'm telling him to move out, executive, right? Now his life is improving. But it doesn't mean that I do this sort of like guilt shaming or anything like that. I just don't like fucking unteachable cases. So if I have that, I just want to make sure it's clear. Excessive emotional highs and lows, like a punishment system for my training is tough. Like 581 label testimonials. Label someone emotionally as evil, worldly, sinful, or wrong. When I saying that about white dating coaches and PUAs or sociopath, it's actually all proven by their behavior. It's not mislabeling them. It's more like labeling correctly. It's not a cultish activity. Emotional stopping techniques, I don't do that. Anger or homesickness. Threaten to harass family or whatever, I don't do that. Shun you if you disobey or disbelief. I mean, I can yell at you, but I can't shun you. And then, I can just teach you a lot less and just let you fail. Teach you if there's no happiness or fulfillment outside the group. That's not true at all. Anyways, now that you kind of get the whole cult model of BITE, right? Please watch this video over and over. And thank you for being here. I got to take a piss. So I'm talking fast. All right. Thank you.